Ready? Motion?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it looks like we're gonna go right into a non-public, so if I could get a motion to go into
I
non-public.
make a motion going to non-public under RSA 91A:3 Roman numeral 2B.
Second.
All right, we'll do a roll call. Joe,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
and me, yes. Alright.
Make a motion that we exit non-public.
Second.
All right, let's do a roll call. Joe,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
and me, yes. All right, sorry, I gotta grab my agenda here again. All right, public hearing. I have to read this out, yeah. To consider the expenditure of funds totaling up to $217,485 from the Raymond School District Equipment Facilities Maintenance and Replacement Capital Reserve Fund under RSA 198:20-C, $159,135 for RHS air conditioning, and $58,350 to replace the Iberholmes Grove Middle School security alarm. Gonna have to take a big breath for this one. And to consider the expenditure of funds totaling up to $48,462.75 from the Raymond School District Technology Capital Reserve Fund under RSA 198:20-C, $48,862.75 for the district-wide infrastructure hardware upgrades, replace switches. And to consider the expenditure of funds totaling up to $29,375.08 from the Raymond School District Food Service Equipment and Replacement Capital Reserve Fund under RSA 198:20-C. $11,100.27 for the LRES walk-in refrigerator, $5,897.51 for the RHS walk-in freezer, and $12,377.30 for the LRES walk-in freezer. And to consider the acceptance and expenditure of the following unanticipated funds from the state, federal, and/or private sources under 198:20-B, $783,153.59, Title I, Title IIA, Title IV-B, IDEA, New Hampshire Department of Health and Human Services, individual state and private grants, $397,414.73. Special education aid, $6,002.80. Vocational tuition aid. Note, we are still in process of collecting quotes. I guess we need to look at the bid sheets. So the first one.
I would ask that if there's anybody here to.
Oh.
The public hearing,
Thank you. Sorry, is there anybody here to speak to the public hearing?
and then you can close it.
I will now close the public hearing. It's like a Cyrano de Bergerac thing. It works for me. We're gonna keep going. All right, Raymond High School VRF, variable refrigerant flow bid summary sheet. Do we have to read through these? Yes, yeah?
No.
No?
You do them later.
We'll do them later. Okay, so we got the sheets. Public input open for 30 minutes. I will close that off at 6:45. And now business. Student representatives from school board. Ethan.
Okay, so the senior class trip will be New York City and Jersey Shore. Sure people are excited about that.
That's for the class of what?
Senior.
2026.
Is that yours?
Yes. I forgot to vote.
They're very fast acting, huh?
Good
Um,
gracious. Jersey and New York City.
Me? I appreciate that because we have waited for the last second quite a few years in a row.
So
So
you guys
Thank
think
you.
about the last day or last, right?
No, it was on Monday.
just like you, man.
I thought it was Friday too.
And so they'll be meeting, as they said, on August 6th with you guys. And then the other topic I'd like to discuss a little is
Do me a favor. I'm sorry to interrupt you again, but make sure you send me an email so I can get them on the agenda
what
to approve this, or to approve that, because I haven't seen anything or heard anything, okay?
and then, so, this is probably gonna sound like a broken record, but, is there any updates on the RAM, for, meetings
The
for,
officers have already met with Ms. McCann and they've already
okay,
worked something out. That was met well before the last board meeting.
okay. I just want to make sure.
Yep.
That's it for me.
Are you an officer?
I don't,
I'm just asking.
they include me, but I don't go because.
Okay, well, they met and we're good to go. They're happy and both sides of the table are happy.
All set? Perfect. All right, moving on to expenditure of capital reserve funds. RHS variable refrigerant flow bid sheet, bid summary sheet. So we have. I usually let you do this, yeah?
So we received two bids, energy efficient investments for 147,60 and Accurate Air for 168,000. And our recommendation is to go with EEI. The budget in the capital reserve fund was for 159,135, and we've come in lower than that, or they came in lower than that.
Steve,
Good job.
just to be clear, this is the old English wing, now math, here at the high school to put. They're called variable refrigerant flow. Back in my day, is that an AC? Because that's what we asked for. I'm just trying to get it clear.
Air conditioning in the English wing.
It used to,
That's what I'm still calling it.
it's math. It's math. Because
If you only knew the discussion we'd have on what they used to call Freon. And what is legal, what is not, what's going on a date, when it's going to be done, your head would explode again.
So air conditioning in the English one became variable refrigerant flow. I
In the
can't say
math
that in the math department.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so recommendation is to go with EEI, it seems. Do we have any more discussion? Let's do it. John?
I'll make a motion to approve energy efficient investments in the amount of $147,147.60 to be used for the Raymond High School VRF system, the money to be taken from the capital reserve fund.
Second.
All those in favor?
Discussion.
Oh, sorry, discussion? Just kind of get there, Joe.
No.
I go. All right, sounds good. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. All right, Iberholm Grove Middle School intrusion alarm bid summary sheet.
So we budgeted for in the capital improvement plan, 58,350. We received one bid, and that was to Minuteman for $26,032.25, and that is our recommendation.
If I could be reminded what an intrusion alarm bid summary is, that basically
Security alarm.
back in my day?
I've been told by my kids we shouldn't say that.
Oh,
I say that all the time. They're like, no, you're just old.
Okay.
All right,
Is there a reason why it's so low? Did Todd have a sense as to? Okay. I'll make a motion there. Is that all right? Steve?
perfect, please.
All right, I'll make a motion that we approve Minuteman in the amount of $26,032.25 for the middle school intrusion alarm. Be taken from capital reserve fund, sorry. I wanted a dramatic pause.
Second, second,
Add
perfect.
some drama to the situation.
Discussion. Awesome. All those in favor?
Perfect.
All right. District-wide infrastructure hardware bid summary sheet.
So we are a part of the E-rate program. And basically with that, what happens is the E-rate program they go out to bid themselves. And then they will pay for whatever they can, and then we pay a certain portion of it. So in our budget to get this done, we had budgeted $228,094. E-rate is actually going to cover all of that except for $48,862.75. Yes.
Oh, we gotta be consistent. The bid was though 122,000, right? And their E-rate is gonna cover 73, according to on the bottom.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I just wanted to make sure I understood what was going on. All right.
Sorry. It's been a
No,
week
it's all
since I looked at this. I'm like, what?
So now it's my turn to ask, what exactly is this one for?
I think it's the hives, isn't it?
Oh, all the networking equipment?
Infrastructure, hardware, upgrade.
Oh, that's the switches.
The switches.
Oh,
Perfect.
my bad. Wrong
Switch.
one.
So we be asking to will accept a bid for 122,156, but only take out 48,862.75 out of capital reserve.
I don't know if you have to do that. But I think we're just asking to
Wouldn't-
take the.
Wouldn't hurt.
It wouldn't
I like the
hurt. It
clarity.
wouldn't hurt, yeah.
Yeah. Want to do that, Joe?
I like it, Joe.
Well said. I'll make a motion to accept E Plus Technologies bid of $122,156.88 for, back what they called again now,
District-wide infrastructure hardware.
district-wide hardware infrastructure. For $48,862.75 coming out of capital reserve funds.
And I would, the remainder coming from E-rate.
Sure.
Just
And the remainder of $73,294.13 coming out of E-rate. Coming from E-rate.
Second, sorry.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
LRES walk-in freezer quote.
So we have received 4 quotes for the elementary school walk-in freezer. And the CIP, we budgeted $13,792. And Ray's Refrigeration is our recommendation for $12,377.30.
We have, what is it, 4 bids here for, food service? 3. 2 of them, Ray's is the higher bid than, what is the name? Sorry.
Alternative.
Alternative.
Mhm.
And then the last one, Ray's, is significantly lower than alternative. Is there a reason why we're not going with alternative on the less expensive one?
Because the district's refrigeration systems, particularly at the let me back up for a second.
The freezer at the
Yeah.
the refrigerator at the high school?
Yes. So when I talked with Elise, she said it's her recommendation that we continue our partnership with Ray's Refrigeration, specifically with that technician we have. He has a proven track record, hands-on expertise, and rapid response capabilities provide clear advantages in maintaining and troubleshooting our refrigeration system efficiently and cost-effectively. So I think he's actually going to be able to monitor these systems for us. And we have had issues in recent years where, particularly over the summer, we will lose power for whatever reason. You want me to wait?
No.
We'll lose power, and then when eventually like one of the custodians finds it, and then we have like a loss of food and we have to file a Primex claim and stuff like that. So I think Ray's is actually going to be monitoring these systems for us when it goes up. I did ask her why the amounts fluctuated between the bids, and she says she doesn't know. And she also told me that they're at the point where they're gonna start charging, if they haven't already, charging us to actually ask for quotes. So if they give us a quote, they're gonna be charging like us like $100 to $150,
Who is the,
these companies.
They're gonna charge us.
That's standard. We're lucky to get bids without paying for them.
Yep.
Really.
wait a minute, they are gonna charge Raymond? I can understand other places, but Raymond?
It's rare that we're getting these for free.
People, I didn't realize people were charging for quotes.
Well, I'm getting down a rabbit hole here, but when you're talking CIP stuff, you're talking stuff that we got somebody to base a price on. They're just doing it out of the goodness of their heart. And companies are just tired of that because they don't have the people either to do that type of stuff. So that's why.
And she
Somebody
said, so when she was asking
Yeah.
them for the information, she thinks that they were just kind of like, here, like, this is the best we can do right now. So,
And take your car to a body shop, you pay for the estimate to get it fixed, most places.
I love today. Any other questions?
I'll make a motion that we approve Ray's Refrigeration for the Lamprey River Elementary School walk-in freezer in the amount of $12,377.30. That money coming from capital reserve fund from food service.
Second.
Any discussion?
Joe's second needs to be a tad faster.
Okay. So Joe, next time, come on. Gotta keep moving. All those in favor?
Aye.
This is unanimous. Awesome. All right, LRAS walk-in refrigerator quote.
So basically the same thing, but for the refrigerator, the budget amount we had was $9,662. This one raise came in at $11,127. And again, because of the capabilities that they can offer us right now with monitoring the system, it's basically what we're paying for.
Make a motion if you're ready, Steve.
Ready?
I'll make a motion to accept Ray's refrigeration bid in the amount of $11,127 for the LRES walk-in refrigerator and the money to come from the capital reserve fund.
Second.
By Joe. Any discussion? Perfect. That was faster, Joe. I like it. All those in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimously. We're gonna have a little fun. And finally, Raymond High School walk-in freezer quote.
What we budgeted in the capital reserve fund was $13,792. And we're asking to go with Ray's Refrigeration for $5,897.51.
I assume all the same applies. John?
I asked a lot of questions about this one because of the prices, so.
Yeah, I was gonna, okay, so they're comfortable. Okay. I'll make a motion that we accept Ray's refrigeration for the Raymond High School walk-in freezer for $5,897.51 to be taken from the capital reserve fund from food service.
Second.
Second by Joe. Any discussion?
Actually, when it comes to these quotes, if we're gonna start getting charged for them, would it be prudent to, if we have, a walk-in freezer, a walk-in this, a walk-in that, all for food service, to put them all in one? That way we're not getting charged $450 for the quote times. Well, we have 4 people.
I guess
It's not
Well-
add up
that would
after a
be
while,
something
I
that
guess.
when we make the motion to do all this, you guys could say, we want one, or we would inform you that we're going out to bid for, then we would incorporate it like that instead of doing individual.
One of them did come in with, where I couldn't break out the cost calculation.
Mm,
I couldn't tell what it was for, and it was just like a total of like $22,000. And I went back to Elise and I said, I'm sorry, I can't differentiate on this sheet about which one is for which item. And I said, and because of how we budget for it, when we go through our capital improvement, I said, I kind of need to see it broken out because I just can't put, oh, here are these 3 quotes for this amount, but this one came in for this amount, but it's 2 bids. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
Like it was a weird situation that we haven't been in. So
I wonder if we can ask for one bid, but with detail. Will they do that?
I'm not sure. I think what's happening right now is I think a lot of, I don't know if you guys remember, when we went through the budget season last year, Tasha had said a lot of these companies, they were getting older and the people were going to be leaving and that their costs were going to be going up significantly. And I think this is an effect of that.
Is the bidding, the charge for a bid, is that for, like in this instance, where we're actually bidding to award or is it when we ask to get a quick something for estimate purposes for down the road? Or is it both situations they're gonna charge?
More likely, as with anything, more likely when we're just asking to get an idea than something like this, but companies too, or even something like this. Todd says he struggles now too, because companies are wanting to charge to do bids.
So
I can't believe it. Raymond.
So I'm getting prepared for our meeting in July for when we have the first draft of the CIP getting ready. So I emailed the 3 of them today with our current plan. And I said, I need you guys to update the cost for the items that are on there for 26, 27, going out like 3 to 5 years. So then I can sit down and meet with them and prioritize stuff and then estimate that cost going forward. And so I'm a little nervous right now because I don't know how that's gonna go because it seems this is the way that it's going. that People just don't wanna quote us what things should be costing.
End up having to put a line item in for quotes.
Yeah.
I get it. I mean, nobody wants to do anything for free anymore. We had a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Acceptance and expenditure of unanticipated funds. I think this is probably you again, Marjorie.
Guys are gonna be sick of me tonight. So each year we have to have a public hearing and discuss where we had budgeted our revenue and what we've received in excess. So the sheet before you is the 2025 grants that we received, the periods that they're reported that we received them for, how much we budgeted them for, and then the unanticipated amount. So for Title I, we've received an additional almost $48,000. Title II-A, we received almost an additional $8,000. IDEA, we received an additional $91,491.58. IDEA preschool, we received an additional $2,810.46. Title IV-B, which is 21st century, we received an additional $189,850.08. Student assistance, we received an additional $261,071. Grow with RHS, we received, so the ones down below are ones that we didn't budget for that we just ended up receiving this year. Grow with RHS, we received $3,550. Promising Futures, $17,100. Youthwell, $5,000. NSLP, the confection oven grant that we received for the food service, $12,500. The NSLP steamer grant, which again was food service, $12,500. LRES Safe Grant, we received $81,813. And the middle school Safe Grant, we received $49,541.41. So the total in excess revenues for the grants is $783,153.59. Did I say that correctly?
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we accept and expend the excess funds in the amount of $783,153.59.
Second.
That's what we need to do, right? Accept and expend, because that's what we're gonna do with them. Or it's already been done in many instances.
And that was just for the grants, but then after that, you also have 397,000 for special ed. I don't know if you just wanted to do the grants, I guess.
Well, I just did what was in front of me.
Yeah, on this page, it's just,
We just have this 783 number.
Okay,
so that's where we have to word it, was accept and expend.
Right, because if we're accepting it because it was excessive, we already budgeted. If everything came in on budget, we wouldn't be doing this. And if we didn't get any of these extra that we didn't budget, we wouldn't have to do this tonight. But
Okay.
because we have extra for a number of the grants, and then we, as a district, went out and got things that we didn't budget for, then we need to accept and expend, even though we've already spent a number of them. The jobs are done.
exactly.
That 783 does cover special education too, right?
No, the 783 just covers the federal grants listed on that sheet. The 397 is for special education aid, and 6,002.80 cents is for vocational aid. I'm trying to look for that sheet that we just had.
Are we,
There it is.
I thought that was one of those that hadn't been spent, right? That was
It's not being spent, no.
right. So we don't have to
Okay.
accept it and
You're
or
absolutely
expend it. We're, right?
Thanks for correcting me, John.
No,
I was-
that's my, I just want to make sure I'm right, because we do it so frequently, once a year.
Right.
So I have to remember.
All right, you made the motion to accept, seconded, right?
Second by Joe.
Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
You look like Macaulay Culkin. All right, monthly financial update. Hey, it's our special guest Marjorie.
The revenues before you tonight are through May 31st, 2025. Again, we are seeing additional revenue in special ed aid, after school aid, before school program, tuitions, which is mostly preschool. And we did have one student that we tuitioned in. Indirect costs, vocational aid. So right there, there's about $460,000 in excess revenue. In regards to the Medicaid, we have received $7,000 this month so far for that. So I'm expecting a shortfall there for about 125. Impact fees, we will not be receiving for the remainder of the year, so that's a shortfall of 36. And other is 10,472. So the net between the two is about $300,000 of excess.
So
That's the 390, sorry, go ahead.
go ahead.
That's the 397 you mentioned before? Or is that, okay.
Just to be clear, at this point, it's rough, but what is the number going to be positive for revenue again?
About 300. You're welcome.
Just got more.
You got more, yeah? Object.
Any questions on the revenues?
I don't have any. Do you guys have any more questions?
The summary of general funds expenditures is your next page. What I did was I compared the last month that you guys had seen, and that was $517,000. This one reports 422,000. The difference is basically the $90,000 that was approved in May. So it basically kind of fell into place where it needed to be. That's all I have on that one. Unless you guys have questions.
The only question is just to clarify, if it ended today and we had the 422, we're still okay to get the 450 for the transfer to capital reserve fund because we still have the revenue that will add it together. Okay.
What
Thank
would
you.
that total be?
So if you add
700
to 422, that would be
Is it, well, I didn't know if it was flat numbers, yeah.
ballpark.
Yeah.
I'm just estimating. Yeah.
Okay.
At this point, yeah, it's all estimate.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that part I can.
Well, I was just going to help you.
That's okay, thank you. Sorry.
Then the food service, I'm still kind of waiting till June 30th for all the final paperwork to be done, the claims to be submitted. Get the final reports of the positive and the negative student lunch balances. So as of this report, I had a swing from the previous months to a loss of 138,000. Just because the revenues were not there. I kept hoping that they were going to be there, that we were going to see an increase in sales. And when I get to May, when I go to reconcile those reports, I basically break down the food service sales by days and try to figure out how many days we have left in June, and that's where it fell. But you can see we had savings on the expenditures, just again, the revenues not there. But hopefully that will look better when I close everything out. And then after that is the object code detail.
You gotta read through all those.
Do you want me to?
Harry has a question.
Harry does have a
When
question.
it's just, it's not relative to this, but something, impact fees. We can no longer collect them due to the bond being paid off. I'm just asking, do we, an agenda item, because I don't know, to stop collecting them? Do I just reach out to the town planner? How, or is that something I need to,
What we should probably do is do it official, whatever we decide,
okay, so,
I think.
yeah, agenda. Okay, I'm just,
We
How
still
would that
have,
work?
Jeff, I
it's
don't
good
know.
for future planning, but we still have one bond payment left for next fiscal year.
school?
Yeah,
Oh.
it's not,
In August.
it's in here. It's not, it's due in July.
Oh, is it July?
That's
Yeah,
why
we're-
they upped it a month.
So unless we're collecting a impact fee before that payment, then I think we've got to take action one way or the other, right? Because
I think it's
I
great
think-
for discussion.
Yep.
it's gonna weigh in.
Again, just why I threw it out there. So I think you're right, John. I just wrote it down so we can discuss it one way or the other.
We can still collect, we just can't expend.
And you better have a plan in 6 years to expend or you're giving it back and that gets complicated.
Yeah.
Other towns have given it back.
Yeah, and the interesting part is it's not on us. It's on the town side, and I don't want to sign up for something in my mind and then say, oh, by the way, town, you got to pay these people back now.
Doesn't go very well.
I don't know.
What is
It didn't go over well when they did it to themselves.
So we'll throw it on there and, yep.
Yeah, what is the threshold for expenditure? It has to be building
Capital improvement. For,
It almost comes down to bricking.
Yep.
Almost. It's not that
it's
hard and fast.
pretty, that's it. Space.
Because, for example, we do a lot of, I think, we've got capital reserves looking at, for example, a boiler for the middle school. That has nothing to do with growth. That just has to do with wear and tear.
Okay, that was gonna be my next question. This capital reserve obviously covers a lot more than physical space.
But it's got to be basic. And I've written it a million times in a Friday, and I can't. But basically, we're adding seats.
These houses being built
Right.
are impacting us and we're having to expand or build new. And immediately, we don't have any of the above.
Yeah, a roof doesn't cut it.
Okay. All right, I guess we have some stuff to figure out.
Yep.
Anything more for us, Marjorie?
Next.
Looks like you're
Yeah,
done.
just, she's batting. She's.
Oh, you're still going?
Swings.
I don't think I've ever talked this
I
much. in a
hear
meeting.
you. The engagement letter is next.
Oh, goodness. All right.
She's chomping at the bit.
Yeah, all right, auditor.
I felt like he was looking at me like.
No, I was thinking there was more in the financial. I like, wait, I thought we were done. That's why I was scrolling. Sorry, I didn't realize you meant it was the next item on the list. Auditor engagement letter. Marjorie.
I just present it to you guys every year to ask for your approval because you have to sign it. Typically, it's the school board chair that signs off on it and myself.
Question.
Joe.
How soon do you need it so that the motion is reflective of how soon you need it? If you needed it tonight, then we'd make one motion. If you can do it in the next few days, then I would just have Tony do it, or the chair, Tony, do it. Do you know what I'm saying?
But would you guys vote for him to sign it tonight? And then,
What we normally do is we authorize the board chair to sign the engagement letter. But if we want, because you have to have it tonight signed, I would do it the vice chair.
I don't think I need it tonight. I think they'd be okay with it. They're coming in on Friday. So
As long as we can get Tony. So do we have to vote on it to have Tony sign it before?
Yes. All right, so I'll make a motion then that we authorize the board chair to sign the auditor engagement letter dated, is it June?
June 30th. Oh, fiscal
Ninth.
year end.
Is it June 9th?
Says
June 9th. Yeah.
Just to give everybody a reference.
Second.
Second by Joe. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
thank you.
Thank you, Marjorie. I'm sure she'll be chomping at the bit later on in the meeting.
All right, LRES year-end report. Hello, Amy.
Going to just first to talk about the principal's report that you have in front of you. Talking about, highlights and behavior data. The only thing I'll call attention to is that over the year, you've heard me mention it multiple times about our collaboration with the Southeast Land Trust and the Atlas program. Most of our grade level teams have had 6 excursions, 3 to Burley Farms, 1 in the fall, 1 in the winter, and 1 in the spring. And 3 on trails behind our schools. And the reason I say most is because, sorry, I gotta get to the first slide. Is because the winter proved to be very, very difficult. First grade was one of the few grade level teams that actually got to have all 6, and they said going to Burley Farms in the winter was wonderful. and they were able to have, a fire, and they, really enjoyed everything about it. There are multiple outcomes that come from these expeditions. Students learn about social emotional learning strategies for example, remaining calm, reading body language, and they do it by learning about how animals make faces and get scared and everything. And they respect nature and each other. They learn about their connections to nature, and the NGSS standards are linked to the lessons as they explore the environment around them. And the CELT team leads students on lessons that teach them all about the New Hampshire work study practices, practicing collaboration, communication, and being self-directed. And the nice thing is that the teachers bring all these lessons back to their classrooms. And Mrs. Cretan, I know you know she's retiring. She came in this afternoon and she brought me a poem that was written by one of her first graders, Jocelyn, who wrote this poem right after her winter trip to Burley Farms. And she writes, I see lakes. I hear teachers say what we need to do. I smell fire in the woods. I taste gummy worms with chocolate. I feel nature's crown. I know it is fun. And that's a first grader, which I think is pretty darn great for first grade. And the I feel nature's crown is because they wove a crown and they were wearing them around. So Burley Farms and CELT, we feel very fortunate for our collaboration with them, and it really has enriched our year. So let me continue on, unless you have any questions about any of that. I met with John just real quickly, and so some of these graphs are going to look a little different than what you have seen traditionally, but I just wanted to share with you. It's the same data, just a different presentation. Here's our data that shows overall this year the growth of our students. So at the end of this year, you're seeing that we've moved from having 25% proficient to now we are at a 74% proficient on grade level overall for our school for reading. If you look at these placements by domain, vocabulary, literature, and information, these are our comprehension. Those three continue to be perhaps where our biggest areas of growth are if you're looking at domains, but honestly, they're not, they're running very similar and they're not that much different than others. This is the new graph that is a new format for you to see. Yep.
Proficient. I've voiced my concern before. We're still considering somebody that is early on grade level at the end of the year as proficient. For example, first grader coming out, they're not yet proficient in first grade because they're early in their grade and we're calling them proficient.
Even iReady does, it's just not us. They consider that too because they're not a grade level behind. If they were a grade level behind, they would be considered that, yeah.
It doesn't make it right.
I understand. So in fact, if you want to look at this real quickly, you'll see that if you want to combine, you can, but you'll say at the beginning of the school year, we had 10% of our school were mid or above grade level right at the outset. 15% were earlier on grade level. 59% were one grade level below. And I always have been taught that that one grade level below are poised and ready to receive instruction at their grade level. You don't need to think of them as in a deficit. You need to say, these guys are ready to learn. They're ready to receive that grade level instruction. Right here, this is our tier 2 and tier 3. We had 15% who were 2 grade levels below, and that's 1% who were 3+ grade levels below. At the end of the school year, we now have 47% of our entire school is on mid or above grade level. 27% are earlier on grade level. 21% is 1 grade level below. And only 4% are 2 grade levels below. And we have no one who is 3 grade levels below for the whole school in reading. Yes.
Steve.
Charlotte.
Yeah, John.
Terry, the phonics, I thought we used to go like 100% there.
Used to be pretty, yes, we were very high on that.
Where have we gone that we're not there now?
Go ahead. You're the,
we have been using.
And that's on the previous slide,
Yeah.
just an FYI.
That was or another place to look at it. I'm gonna skip this slide. It is confusing. Would you like me to look at this slide? I was gonna go to the grade level. And I think that's where it would be more interesting to look at the domains.
Well,
I
the
can
graph
go back.
reflecting the phonics for the school is there, right?
Right.
So, go ahead there, right there.
We're using foundations, we're using Hegarty Foundations is really our primary way of focusing on this. And we are switching our programs as far as how we're supporting our students, and we're switching what we're doing for our tier 2 and tier 3 students. And we are feeling very strongly that we're going to be using better programs to support our students who are struggling with phonics. So
I guess I'm confused because I don't know if it was last year or a few years ago, we used to be at 100%. And what changed between, and I know a different audience in the sense of students, right? But I just didn't know if we changed something.
it's hard for me to speak to. what
Okay, that's why I was
happened
more-
4 or 5 years ago.
I don't, the
Okay.
program's the same. It's just, I don't know if we're getting the same bang for our buck with the program.
I'm agree. And I don't know, and it's hard for me to speak to what happens.
I understand. That's why I was asking.
So what we're doing, what I can tell you is that we're using, Lively Letters, which is a great way for students to know their letters. And then we're going to be using Spire, which is a program that we're using for tier 2 and tier 3. And we use Mary Ann Nice to help us with reading, and she's the one who recommended it to us, and she's helping us with training. So we really do feel like we're identifying the right programs to use, and we have the professional development to support our teachers with them.
Yeah, I'm all set. Thank you.
So again, this will show you reading proficiency growth from fall to spring, but by grade level. And you can see where we continue to perhaps have some struggles. But then you can also see where we have a lot of really strong growth. And I would call your attention specifically to grade 3. Grade 3 started the year with 7% of their class at 3 grade levels below, and 24% of their class at 2 grade levels below. And they ended the year with only 8%, 2 grade levels below. And that was a lot of growth. And you can see also at the top level, they now have 81% of their students either mid on grade level or meeting most expectations. That was a lot of growth for grade 3.
Before you go
Mhm.
on, what are we gonna do for first and second grade?
Okay.
And I'll say that it's also the same situation in math also.
It is.
So I'll just,
It is. So, I have some teachers, we've moved some room placements to have some, pairings that I feel that just having some positivity next door to each other, I think that's going to help. We're getting professional development in place. We are also changing our schedule, so we have additional time in math. We have 30 additional minutes in math instruction for each day. And I think that's going to help our students, not just for grades 1 and 2, that's for K-3. Everybody will have that. And we've also changed our way of instructing reading so that we have both our core instruction time, think that is whole group, but then now we have small group instruction time is an hour, which means that I can support all my students. And then I can have individual instruction. So if you're at this level, I'm going to be able to work with you. And I'm also going to have time to work with every group in my class and give them what they need in small groups. And so every teacher in the building is excited by the changes because they know they're going to be able to work individually or in a small group with every student every day. So we're very pleased with that change.
just to clarify, so the 30 minutes is starting in the fall.
Fall.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is this, and I'm glad that we're doing that. My question then is what are we doing? What is being taken away, for lack of a better way of saying it, by the 30 minutes? What are we not doing?
Yeah, so I'm doing a lot of finding minutes. And
Okay.
I had one whole staff meeting about the power of 5 minutes and when you can use 5 minutes and it adds up. So for example, the beginning of the day, I used to say we had the nicest, most relaxed beginning of the day because the kids would get their breakfast and they come and I'm like, no, that's gonna lock it down. Morning meeting starts at 8:50. No more.
A woman after my
I
heart.
know. So we're starting.
You'd be excited, John.
So we're starting instruction at 8:50 and then the end of the day does not end at 3. It's ending at 3:10. So right there, that's 20 minutes that I'm catching and I'm gonna grab.
That's great. Thank
There
you.
you go. And then another thing is that we used to have, we call them Fridays was when math and, science and social studies were taught. Now we're teaching science and social studies throughout the week. It's like an every other day thing. It's the same amount of time that was in the previous schedule, but what it does is it opens up minutes. And again, I'm grabbing minutes, and when you grab enough minutes.
Oh,
you get
sure. It
half.
adds up. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Mhm. So this is the same data, but again, as I said, I'm introducing you to this new chart. Just visually, it gives you a pretty quick glimpse of where the growth is or isn't. And you can see, so grade 1, for example, 81% of those students came in at that 1 year below, or as I say, poised for instruction, ready to learn. But now they were able to get to 60% on grade level, but that left the 40% still 1 year below. And that is something that that's not sufficient for me, and we know it, and we're gonna work on it. Grade 2 was able to move students, but they did leave 7% still 2 years below, and that's an opportunity for us to do better. Grade 3, as I already called it out, you can see how much growth they did in grade K as well. It's just a different format. This talks about typical, yep, I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. cut you
Yeah,
off.
the last two slides we looked at, I would call slide 6 and 5. No, 5, 6 and 4.
Yeah.
No, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I'm all messed up.
It's okay. I actually don't know numbers, so, but
I don't either.
it's okay.
I'm making them up as I
I
go.
think
You can say whatever
Well,
you want,
it's-
I'll believe you.
This one?
Reading proficiency growth, which is what you just went over, correct?
Yes.
And then the next one is,
How have relative placements
and
changed?
they're both the same information.
They are.
Okay, so the question I think is, for the board, which one would you prefer going forward? Is that fair to say, Amy? Because it's a duplicate. It's just saying that
It's a
it's a
duplicate.
different graph versus that's it, that the information is the same.
I mean, it seems to me that the second one is a lot more consumable. If it's got all the same data on it,
It
right?
does.
It's all the same percentages, everything is the same. I like the look of that newer one better. It's a lot easier to just take and the comparison that tight is nice. to go, oh, well, yeah, we might like, so second grade, you said, 7%, but look at the distribution change.
Yeah,
Still some work to do, but a lot of good work has been done.
It-
Like you can see that really quickly.
it does it very quickly. It's a very quick vision.
Okay with that, Joe? When I met with Amy last week, we had this conversation and I said, well, if we're gonna put both, let's have the board decide which one we want to go with, and that would make a few less slides.
Can I ask a dumb question? While Tom's still working on his, you want his to look like that or typical, atypical?
If he hasn't locked in, you know what I mean? I would think we would want it the way we're suggesting tonight, is my mind.
So can I ask a quick question? Is that harder to put together this new slide?
It's easier.
Easier? Wow, that seems
So
like a
curriculum
win-win.
Associates can generate it for us,
Oh, okay.
so it saves us time.
Yeah, even better. All right, perfect.
So here's the typical and stretch growth, and I'll just call to your attention that Curriculum Associates says national average for stretch growth is between 25 and 35%. So everybody, all grades made the 25 to 35%. Grade 2 and 3 in reading actually exceeded it, and grade K did too. but every grade level made the national average for stretch growth in reading.
John?
Few questions on this one.
Mhm.
The first thing is, for example, grade K is the progress median is 120%.
Mhm.
Grade 1, the progress median is 100%.
Mhm.
Why is the difference?
That's a this slide is difficult to understand. It says that if you take, and I might be getting this wrong, if you take the median average student, getting rid of the both ends, they would have progressed 100%. If you do it for K, they would have progressed 120% of the median average. And it might help if we look at the next slide, I think.
Before you do that.
Yeah.
So for example, and I'll just give numbers out there.
Mhm.
If we thought we were going to be 100 points on the stretch,
Mhm.
then they actually met 120.
Mhm.
Is that correct?
Mhm.
Okay. And then
But-
first grade made exactly 100 points or whatever, just so that I've got a sense.
But here's the thing,
Okay.
stretch growth differs for every single person. So your stretch growth might be different than mine and mine and mine.
Right. But this is just average.
Right, this is just average. That's exactly. So the following slide that you asked me how many people made over 100% growth.
Yeah. I haven't gotten there yet.
Okay,
Because the other thing is the stretch then for kindergarten is at 88%.
mhm,
So that means we were shy by 12% of what we would have hoped to have happened.
mhm.
Thank you. And then the 38% at kindergarten, they met. Is that percent met the 88 or is it the percent met at 100?
Net at 100.
Okay, and the same thing for the 63 at the regular growth is
Net regular growth.
and I just trying to understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then. for
Now,
first grade, yeah.
Now, the other part I had is we had talked about getting 100% when we see these things.
Mhm.
In this case, the typical growth is 64% for the school. But that means 64% of the 330 so kids are in that group.
Yep.
And we talked about getting it broken down from like 100% to 200%, how many are there? And then other places.
Yeah.
And I asked Amy about that and she said, well, it will be additional time for her. And I said, okay. And I just said, we'll leave it as is, and then I'll ask the question at the board meeting on Wednesday night. So I'm asking the question. I think it would be beneficial for us because we see 36% of the group broken down in 5 different columns. And then 64% broken down in 1 column. To me, I would think we'd want to see more columns just to appreciate all those students that are doing significantly better on their growth.
So,
Do you understand what I'm saying, Jerry? Because you look puzzled.
I do. And do you understand?
I did. I did not break it down into the categories. I didn't understand that when we had our conversation.
That's fine.
I just did over 100%.
No, I understand, and I'm fine with it tonight because I told you when we met last week, I said,
Yes.
just leave it as is, because I don't want
But I'm
to
not,
say we're going to do something when the board hasn't
right.
weighed in on what it is.
So this is what it is. For K, 62.9% got over 100%. First grade is 52%, second grade is 60%, third grade is 73.6%.
And that's the 64% total from above.
Right, if you average all these together, I think you get 64%.
And then
What would hope-
36% of the whole school met the stretch growth
Yeah.
of 120%.
So those are the ones who got over 100. So I'm not sure if that gives you any.
I don't know. I think we need more clarity. Again, are you asking that the 64% that made 100% meet? What are you asking about that 64%? You want it broken down as 110, 120, 130, 140, 150?
No. what I would suggest is go from 100 to 200 and then 200 to 300, wherever it ends.
Oh, so, what, yeah.
And then whatever
You're gonna be-
breakdown, whatever breakdown, if we've got the vast majority
Okay.
in, between 100 and 150%, then I would ask for a different type of graphic. That's all. I'm just trying to get it so that, because you mentioned one time a few years ago, Terry, we had a student at over 700.
Yeah, yeah.
Nobody can appreciate by this graph that we had that magnitude of growth individually.
So I will say some of that's on here because by definition, 36% hit the 120%. So you have a little bit of a breakdown because they met the stretch growth, which is by definition 120% of what they were trying to get. So we do have a little bit of breakdown. The right side stretch growth, those 36% represent over 120%. So, I mean, just by some quick math, about 28% were between 100 and 120.
What is the stretch growth for the, that we measured ourselves on?
As I said, it depends on each student.
Right, that's what I'm trying to get.
Yeah, it depends
It's
on each
not
student.
hard and fast for kindergarten. The stretch goal was 150. It's individually pegged at each student.
Yes, it is.
Oh.
And
So how-
within K, it's different, and within the 1, 2, 3.
Right, I understand that. Yep.
So here's my question for you then, John, because I understand what you're saying, and I agree, we should be appreciating the kids who are really doing well. How do we show that without going down to the per student level? I mean, if the idea that we could show 200, 300%, and maybe we have one or two kids, are you looking for a number of students at the 200% level?
No, I'm just looking for, well, in essence, you would have to do it. And Amy said that it would be basically counting heads. And she thought of a way that might make it easier. I'm not holding her to it. It would be more work. But for something we ask for once a year, I think it's worth having the information so that we see the complete picture. We see where people are struggling, but we're not showing where people are excelling. And I think it's important that we see as much as we can see.
I do want to be a little cognizant of all the extra effort too, though. So is there something we can, so the chart below, which confuses the heck out of me, you explained it twice, still not sure I'm with you, but
I know it.
can we simplify that explanation a little bit then? It seems like we're seeing the same data spread twice and
Which one are we talking about here?
we're on this page, the data at the bottom
It's broken out by grade.
is broken out by grade
The
level.
top is the whole school.
When I'm looking at this, I'm gonna be candid. I'll tell you what I focus on, and I actually ignore this section right here.
Section.
I ignore this. And I focus on what percent met their typical growth. I love when this number gets close to 80%. Because in my mind, I like 80% when I can, and John was teasing me that I would ultimately love 100%. Like I would love 100% to make the typical growth. But that's an ideal. But if I could get to 80%, the closer I get to that, the better I feel. And I also focus on this percentage students who improve placement. And that just means that they're improving from the fall to the winter to the spring. And again, that number should be high. The higher it is, the better. And if this was a low number, I'm concerned. So I'm going to be candid, that 53%, only half the kids making their annual typical growth. I would want to dig into that. And I want to say, how close did they come? Were there just a lot of kids in the 90% range and they were really close? Or are they really far off the mark? And that's the digging in I do. And I also want to look at, is it a teacher? Is it a whole grade? And that's the conversations. And I think Terry shared with you conversation. We have data chats and every teacher comes and sits with me and we talk about it. And I say, this is what we see for math. This is what we see for reading. And why do you think that is? And that's how I do it. So this is very general data, but when you drill in, then you can kind of see.
And this is something the system generates for you.
Yes. Yeah. Well, this one, yeah, it's a screen grab.
Yeah.
Yeah. we saw this. And I think that this is interesting
Before we,
data that you guys can see for, this is our district.
1 second for me,
New
Amy.
Hampshire.
Sorry, 1 second. Go ahead, John.
yeah, I just want to clarify, are we going to do what I asked or are we not doing that? I just want to get clarification on that.
I saw Terry read it down, so I'm.
Well, I just want to make sure the board, Steve was
Yeah,
having a concern. I'm not saying he was. but I'm
Yeah.
Saying.
I'm not throwing a flare, but I'm leery to add. So I want to make sure that the kids who are killing it, if you want to call it that, are getting their, that you can see it in the data. I'll be honest, I'm very much torn because I don't know if a kid's making more than 100% of their growth, we're not likely to spend extra time with them. That may be wrong, but we're going to focus on the kids who need the extra help. So to know that 64% met 100% of their goal and 36% of those made more than 100, whatever, more than their stretch individual. I assume the stretch goal is based on, so the kindergartners are 120%, the second graders made 120%, the third graders made 149%. That was their stretch.
Well, as I said, each student is different. So if I have an IEP, my stretch growth might be, this much. And if I am starting really low, I actually might have more stretch growth to go. It based on your skills. And the whole reasoning they have stretch growth is if I'm a third grader and I'm 2 years behind, they show statistically, if I get stretch growth 3 years in a row, I will be on grade level by sixth grade. And so that's the power of stretch growth. And so we try to really motivate our kids, like, you can
gap.
do this.
Yeah.
Close the gap.
My only question or concern, I guess, is on how we show those numbers without getting down to the individual student, but we can't go to the individual student.
That'd be less than 10. Once
Right.
below 10, it'd be less than 10.
Right. So,
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah, because we can't put individual stretch growths for each
Right.
kid, because then you'd be identifying each kid,
Right.
each student. We really can't do that. So,
And we do send the family reports home and they have all of it.
Right.
And the parents see it.
Steve.
yes.
Yeah, I'll just obviously the 64% means it's like 170 kids.
Mhm.
So we can come up with a graph that doesn't identify the kids. In my mind. I will clarify though. If I am a student that is I'm at 50% of where we wanted to be, I'm getting extra help. Is that fair to say? And if I'm at above 100%, that doesn't mean the teacher stops giving me work that stretches me.
Well,
Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I'll actually tell you that some of our students had the highest growth were our students that specifically, we have a student who came in first grade level in third grade, and he's leaving third grade at a high third grade level. And he's one of our highest stretch growth.
Mhm.
So some of our biggest growth are kids who are on IEPs and he just knocked it out of the park and just grew amazing. So a lot of these kids are getting intervention services, might be getting special ed, and are definitely might also be getting title services.
But I'm just saying that we do differentiate learning at all levels.
Mhm.
Something was said that kind of indicated maybe not.
No, so here, because I'm going to Elmo myself here in a second. So let me clarify what it is that you're asking, John. You want to see on the charts at the top, 100 plus, 200 plus, 300 plus.
Or whatever
Or whatever.
the chart makes sense to capture.
Once we
those.
get to less than 10, we stop.
Well, I would stop after a few of those out there so that we have a better sense as to what it is. Because like I said, I don't know if the 170 kids or so are between 100 and 150%, or if we have half of that group at above 200%. And I think we have a lot of kids that are doing super. And I just think it'd be important to see what that is. Because unfortunately, we as a board, what do we hear about? We don't hear about all the good work that we're doing. We hear about, oh, you guys only have 50% this. And it's like, well, let's show everything that we've got to be reflective of the entire student population. That's all.
Jim.
It'd be more conducive just to sit there and put down the, from 100 to 164 or 250 instead of putting more columns in.
Yeah, no, I can't add more columns, but I can do it like this. This one is generated by the company. I mean, I guess I could, and I could like pencil it in, but it would be easier if I just did, and I made it like 100, 150, 150 to 200, 200 to 250, like this.
Yeah.
If that's okay.
Yep, let's,
I think that would be perfect. Is that okay with you, Joan?
Yeah, we see it one way or the other. I don't need it in a graph.
Okay,
I'm fine. Numbers do.
all right. I want to be cognizant. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I also want to know if it takes, how much more time it takes to separate everything out here.
Yes, please. And I do want to be cognizant of time too. Tony, didn't recognize you coming in.
Yeah.
Uh, would you like your reins back?
Are we done with this?
No. I don't think we are. We have, this is just reading. So I,
Yeah, sure, I guess, if you wanna,
hey, 6 and 6, I just didn't want to presume.
Okay.
matter to me.
All right, I'm just gonna show you real quick. This is how our district compares to New Hampshire year to date, national year to date, and the national norm. National norm is they take a cross section and it's just basically a random sample to normalize the data. National year to date is every student in the nation, and that's how we compare to every student in the nation. And this is New Hampshire, every student in New Hampshire who takes iReady. And that's spring 24, 25, and this is our district. So if you're curious about probably.
I'm not sure.
Go ahead, Tom.
On this slide, it shows that New Hampshire is at mid or above grade level is at 37%. However, if you look at the next slide, each grade, not all the grades are above 41%.
No idea.
So,
So wait, I'm gonna pause.
no, I'm just saying,
Yep, no,
just to give everybody an understanding that
but can,
it's,
yep.
Yeah,
If you look at the bottom,
finish, please.
it just go.
it says New Hampshire year to date, less than 4,000 students.
Yep.
Whereas the slide before says it's all.
Yeah, and it
So-
says it's like 37,000 and then down below it's even, yeah.
So I think the reason why these don't add up is because these by grade level is not incorporating all the students. It's just a very small subset.
So you feel confident then in the New Hampshire numbers on that slide you started with? As best you can.
As best as I can, considering they give it.
Well, that's great news then, because we're doing much better than the state.
Well, and isn't
Kudos
the,
there.
isn't the first slide aggregate of all 4 grades?
It
It
is.
is, it's our district.
So it would necessarily be different.
No, what I mean, if you look at the graph, Steve, and I just was trying to make sure we were looking at things. It's saying at mid-level, mid or above grade level in the green, the darker green is 37% in New Hampshire, the one that's, the third one in.
Right.
However, down below, when the state has those numbers divided out, not the state, but iReady, everything is
Everyone
above 41%, which means that is, something's not right. Because if you're above 41, you can't have an average of 37%.
37, as they were saying.
And that's all I just was trying to figure out if the numbers were legit or did I misunderstand something? So basically kudos in the sense that we're doing better than the state. Would we like to be better? Absolutely. But I'm just saying, because I think it's important that we have something to compare to. Before we didn't, and I appreciate you getting that.
But I do think that this second slide, as I said, I was actually doing a comparison because New Hampshire's less than or approximately 4,000 students. This is not, it's not representative of New Hampshire. It is interesting, but it's not representative. I'll move forward. Here's the cohort data. And just to be clear, for the way I created it, for grade 3, if you look at across horizontally, this is them at first grade. This is the current grade, third grade. This is when they were second grade, and this is when they're in third grade. And similarly for second grade, this is the second grade class. This is their as kindergarten. This is when they're in first grade. This is when they're in second grade. Would you like me to pause or continue on?
Well, third grade did really well.
They did.
Any questions? Continue.
Okay. So this is math. And you're going to see in our domains, our performance is very, very similar. And you're going to see, I'm just going to move on to this one because it really is a quick visual of how we did. And this is our entire school in one look. We no longer have anyone 3 grades below, but we went from 15%, 2 or 3 grades below. Now we're at 3%. We still have 35% of our students at 1 grade level below. And we went from 13% at mid or early on grade level. And now we're at 62% on mid or early grade level. And that's for the whole school. I'm going to pass this one because it takes work, but you can tell very quickly that 2 and 1 continue to be our area of focus, and K3 continue to be the ones that are doing the best, and 3 is again the highest. This does a little bit more detail by grade level. And you can see the work that's being done in all grades. You can see especially how kindergarten did a very good job helping students. And we do see that our second grade is going to be our focus for math. And this is, I believe, a little bit more clear to show kindergarten first, second, and third, and the growth that we see from the fall to the spring for each of our grades. A good shout out to first grade. They no longer have anyone 2 grade levels below. They're just 1 grade level below, so they do good work. Now we're back into typical and stretch growth. And the one thing I'll show you again, calling to mind that 25 to 35% is typical stretch growth nationally. And we see that grade 2 only had 13% stretch growth. So that again calls to mind that grade 2 did have some struggles with math.
Sorry. I don't know if you guys have this in yours, but for some reason, my version of this
Yes.
is 4 through 8.
Yep, John
Mhm.
corrected me and I
I
corrected.
didn't,
John
I reached
pointed
out to Terry and brought it to his attention.
Yes, and who then helped me fix it. So this
Okay.
is the corrected slide.
Okay,
And so this will show you K1, 2, 3.
I assume we want the same adjustment on this one, John,
I would hope, yes.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it would be a different.
on the next slide.
On the new, if you could, if we can get this in the front end memo so I can see it,
This,
you know, 'cause right now it's.
Yep.
I need the binoculars and
Yeah.
it ain't working for me. Thank you.
Yep.
Right?
So
I will say the next page that you have, the summary one, is the one data for us.
good. And then here is our percentage of growth over 100%. I think again, this just really quickly highlights the 2 grades that. And then here we go, how our district compares to New Hampshire as well as to the national norms. This is by grade level, but as John already pointed out, it's not as accurate because New Hampshire just has fewer students who are in this data pool. Here's our cohort data again. And I'll end with our SAS proficiency. We're 57 proficient in math, which is a combining of level 3s and 4s, and 58 proficient in reading. And that's as compared to last year. It was 59% proficient in math and 49% proficient in reading. So we did see a considerable jump in reading. I know it's different students, but I thought that was a really nice jump. And yeah,
Or, oh, sorry. I get it. Sorry. The hair. Yeah, exactly. I blame it on that. Thank you. Up above, it talks about science.
Okay, thank you.
yeah. a
Do we
lot
have
further.
science?
No, grade 3 does not take science, and that's just my fault for
Okay.
copying the wrong title.
Okay, I just didn't know if we didn't,
Yep,
if we
no,
did.
grade 3 only
Thank you.
takes math. Any other questions?
So in math, we're gonna add 30 minutes to the day and for specifically math. And in reading, what are we doing?
We've changed we have more
Individual groups and things?
methodical for small group instruction.
Thanks, Ann.
That's
All you, Tom.
Right, is that, anyone else? All right then, thank you very much.
Employee handbook G.
All right, employee handbook.
We've got three changes. Change number one is the welcome letter. A fancier new letterhead that actually incorporates the of a graduate that Jen has been working on. Page number 6.
Now, those are we got, there are plaques also downstairs and that similar, the portrait of a graduate.
We have posters up downstairs. Every building's got them hanging now. I think they're actually in 2 places, to be honest with you.
I remember them from coming in downstairs, going into the cafeteria.
Yep. I don't think we can change much with the FMLA. That's kind of out of our control. And then the only other change is on page 20, work hours. All staff positions are expected to work their designated number of hours per their individual contracts or applicable collective bargaining agreements. Building administrators or district level administrators, dependent on the position, will establish shift start and end times.
Um,
I'll make a motion to approve the 2025 6 employee handbook as presented.
Second.
Second by Joe, discussion. Shift start and end times, doesn't that like run with the start and end of school day
Well,
or?
technically, schools, I'm just ballparking here, so don't shoot them out. Let's just say school's 6.5 hours, but they have to work 7.5 hours, so their start and end times set.
All right. Vote. All those in favor?
Aye. Handbook.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Thank you very much. Nominations and resignation.
We have 3 nominations. James Jenkins, teacher, middle school.
I'll make a motion to approve the nomination of James Jenkins as a teacher.
Great discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Simeon Mills, teacher, middle school.
Make a motion, we approve the nomination of Simeon Mills, teacher.
Second.
By Joe, discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And Erica Mann, teacher, LRES.
The motion, we approve the nomination of Erica McMahon, teacher.
Second.
Second by Joe, discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous.
We have 2 resignations. Laura Pierce, LRES reading specialist, resignation effective June 30th, 2025.
I'll make a motion that we accept the resignation of Laura Pierce. Resignation effective June 30, 2025.
Second.
A second by Joe, discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
And last one, Holly Quinn, special ed teacher, middle school resignation effective June 30th, 2025.
Make a motion that we approve the resignation of Holly Quinn effective June 30th, 2025.
Second.
Second by Joe, discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Except for that. New revised policy, second reading. Got here, IMGB, therapy animals. Ron,
Make a motion we approve policy IMGB.
second by Steve. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have policy JLCDA, medical treatment, parental consent.
Make a motion we approve policy JLCDA.
Second.
Ooh, that was a tough one. Good to Steve. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, unanimous again. Inviting local and state representatives to a board meeting. So. Anyone want to take the lead on that one?
I mean, it's always good to have folks in, but do we have specific things that we want to ask?
I think there's a couple things that we were thinking about, no? All right,
Equal requirements for people who are, you'll see a theme too. And I deal with this in the, New Hampshire School Board Association resolutions with me. Equal requirements for people, for schools accepting state funds.
I don't understand.
Testing, allowing, I mean,
Oh, okay.
special education, all those things. I mean, if you're taking state funds, why are you not required to do the same thing I have to? do?
Right. Do you have an example? Like, is there a school that's not?
Well, for example, a private institution.
Mhm.
If I send my kid to a private institution and I'm getting money, it's probably more money than we're getting, one. And two, they don't have to live by the same rules that we do. And Terry would be better and able to, I'm assuming, for example, they don't have to take SAS testing.
Correct.
You have to take SAS testing. And then there are many other things that, the rules don't apply to them. For example, they can probably throw a kid out on, easier than we can. Because it's a private institution. I don't want to assume something, but if I'm going there and Johnny does something that here we'd have to suspend him for 5 days and take him back, the private institution can suspend or expel them.
Like if you cut up all the wicker ribbon, what is that called? If it's like, what do you eat?
They're not cutting out baskets, are they?
Well,
Oh,
they're not
my.
baskets
Well,
yet.
All
They're
battles
not
off.
baskets yet. Raw materials.
Raw materials. So that's what you're driving at, right?
Yes.
Ah, that's a good one.
And what else? Because I'm all for having the representatives come in. In my mind, it's just as long as the board is in agreement what we're gonna discuss. Because I don't wanna,
Sit here and argue in front of them.
well, that, and it would be, to me, not appropriate if we have somebody that strong feelings about something and the other side, and somebody else feels the exact opposite. I just don't think at that point it's representing the board, even though it might be the majority. It's just, to me, should we having guests come in for us to advocate for something?
And then we
that's
all agree with it, right?
Yeah, or somebody can, I'm not 100% there, but I'm okay with advocating for it.
Building aid.
Having it.
Well, yeah, that would be nice. As we've discussed, they kind of took it out the next couple of years. Well, I don't
Well,
think it's
right now,
passed yet.
I don't think it's in there in the biennium budget, right?
So, I mean, in my mind, the people who were able to jump on this opportunity before aren't exactly the poorest towns in the state because they already had, either building plans already ready to go or the money to get the building plans ready to go. And, not everyone, but for the most part, they were, most towns were, but yes, let's build. So I mean, and where it was, it hasn't, we haven't had building aid for 4 years even. John, do you use the?
I don't know. I
Hasn't been very
know
long.
it was cut this year. I thought we had it in the last night.
It was,
Yeah.
but I don't know how, I think that was a short, it might be
Well, it was very
4
short.
years, 2 biennials.
Because in 2011, the legislature cut it and it was gone for a number of
Yeah.
biennials. So that was like 8, maybe 10 years. And it was back and then it's gone. Or at least this point in current legislation, my understanding is it's gone.
And I have no talk of adding it back. I haven't heard anything.
I'm fine with that.
Like the topics to me.
My next, you probably already seen it. They were talking about the Meals and Rooms tax, and the New Hampshire legislature email that we got. It probably goes more towards the towns, but they always seem to take money away from one and give it to the other sometimes.
Mhm.
So, and they're already expecting anywhere between a 20 and a 60% decrease, especially in the New England area, New York and New England, in tourism, because a lot of the Canadians are not coming down like they were before. I want to know exactly how they're going to rectify that situation. If they don't have enough money coming in one way, where are they going to try to take the money from?
Mhm.
Make that up for? Because I have serious concerns about where they're going to try.
Airbnb, that's the next step, is to tax that, get a piece of that, because right now they don't. And that's probably why you think that the tourism industry is getting killed, because people don't go to hotels anymore.
Well, I mean, just overall,
Right.
people are saying, that's my take. Anybody else?
My biggest issue is the discipline thing and our lack of ability to discipline students that need it. I mean, it's crazy. I don't know another word for it.
I would agree. And I also, my immediate thought was the YDCA. I mean, we're not
CYF.
DCYF. I always get the alphabets wrong. I get YMCA correct, but
Is this on?
exactly, that's how I do it. Yeah. And that's partly it, right? Because we trying to discipline a kid for not being here or help them get here. It's along this line, but it's a little different. We can't get any help from anybody. The court system basically laughs at us. Not literally, but it's a wink and a nod, Terry.
Oh, yeah.
That's all we can do. So
I'm more worried about the ones that are here, not bringing the ones that aren't here. The ones we already have.
I know what you're saying, but
Yeah.
It's
no, I agree. I think we need something different. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if it looks like what we did before or if it's someplace different. But what we have now, I don't think the message is being sent home to the kid or the parents.
To that effect,
Isn't that what you're going at though, Tony?
yeah, it's just that nobody is being held accountable for anything anymore. And I don't know why. And again, I don't know how to change that, but
Right.
when a kid comes in every day and tears things off the wall, we should be able to do something to stop that, whatever it is. I mean, other than put them higher on the wall, that's not
And hope they don't
that's not a
throw.
reasonable solution to me.
to
Joe.
the effect, we have we have a governor who is all about the cell phones not being in school, but I haven't heard one iota on how we're going to enforce that since.
Because it's impossible.
it's not enforceable.
Oh, that's what I mean.
I mean, there's no fine. What are we gonna do? It's against the law. They don't care.
I mean, you have this entire state, and a lot of people going, this is so great, just so great. But there's no teeth to it. I mean, especially if we sit there and suspend somebody, if they're gonna go to the state and the state's gonna go, well, you can't do that because.
Yeah, you gotta let them back or.
Okay, so we're good.
Yeah, for me, I would separate that conversation, right? as a different conversation
We're
regardless
talking
of,
truancy essentially is a whole.
well, Joe's issue was the cell phone situation, and I agree with him that I think they're setting us up for a world of trouble because we're supposed to enforce something, but yet, as you said,
We have a policy now. Excuse me, I'm sorry, John. We have a policy now that parents will say, no, you're not taking my child's phone.
I would say that
I know, I'm just.
as a school board member, I don't want to be taking people's phones.
But I'm just, yeah, but I'm just, we have a policy and. So,
it doesn't work.
Well, the problem is you say, give me that phone. The kid says in a colorful way, no. And then you open up a whole other issue now.
Well,
And then you got a whole room of kids waiting to be taught. Well, you're dealing with this. It's like, why?
Well, and then there are times when you bring those kids, if they actually go to the office and then they call the parents and the parents go, no.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So I mean, not only do you have the disobedience of the kid and not following the rules, but when you try to get them to enforce them, the parents say, well, I don't want it enforced, so
You
I'm
don't
gonna,
have to listen to them.
yeah.
You can agree with it or not. It's still, the rule.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't have to agree with it.
Yeah.
But I-
Rule.
That's, yeah.
I think this gets back to Tony's point of that's where we have no teeth. Right. So maybe one of those conversations, because I agree with you on truancy and I agree with you on cell phones, but I think it all comes back to we have to have a way to enforce it.
Mhm.
None of it matters if we can't enforce. If we can't say you're expelled for this or you're going to be out for a month or you have to, we have to have a way. You have to have a way to have a consequence. If there's no consequence, there's no reasons to do anything. You and I don't work, we don't get to keep our homes.
Right.
That's a pretty
If
big
I go to work and my boss says, hey, put your phone away, and I say, hey, F you.
Right,
Well, like he's just gonna go, hey, I tried and walk away.
Exactly right.
right.
Tony's Tony.
No,
Oh, he's doing that again.
You know what? Let's give him a 20% raise because he's an independent guy.
Oh, well, yeah.
You're not gonna, you're gonna lose a job.
Right.
And we don't have that ability. And I'm not, and I'm not even gonna get into the physical of anything, but we have to be able to set guidelines that have some teeth to them.
John, the one thing about truancy is we have the means to do what we need to do to help get the kids back. The state isn't supporting us.
Yeah.
Is that,
Yeah, I would say that
because we try to go to court and they're gonna say DCYF doesn't have,
oh, they don't have, and I'm
Enough
not,
people.
they don't have the manpower to take care of, they are dealing with,
so
I mean, my daughter's at Massachusetts and she laughs when schools call.
Backlogs, right?
I can't, I am pulling, removing in court and everything else for really bad things, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
She's out straight,
I understand. But again,
but
if we're worried about educating our kids
Yeah.
and they're not here, really hard to educate.
But to Terry's point, if they got, they're a backlog, a caseload, and if it's like, if this kid is not in immediate danger, then we have more important things to deal with than bringing a kid to school.
Kids who are in more
Right,
danger.
But the way I look at that, that's the state not spending the money to do that.
mental health, you got kids, well, yes, because when there is a kid in crisis, they can spend 7-8 days in the emergency room waiting to be seen because there is no place for them.
Mhm.
And off the top of my head, it hooks it with what? 14 beds, 15 beds?
I don't know what they do over at Hampstead anymore.
That's what
Places.
Hampstead.
Hampstead, and that's, but you don't want.
Very big.
But I'm just saying, but
Which one go?
where else is there to go? Well, I think we got about 3 hours with them right now, so.
So that's, I mean, I would put all three of those on as separate topics. I know they're all related, but truancy, cell phones and ability to support discipline. I think all three of those are good discussions. We might have to have them come back several times.
I mean, that's really where it comes to, is you have to go to the state level and change I don't know what effect or what ability they have to change the ED regulations or how that goes, but I mean, there's just,
Conversations that need to start to happen.
somebody has to have it.
That's just it.
Yeah,
They represent us.
right.
They're representing Raymond. Just because it's not happening in Bedford doesn't mean it's, and I'm just, they have their issues too, so I don't, but I'm just using that as a.
We should be able to say as a board, like this student, we don't feel safe with him and they're like, we should be able to say that this person is a danger to everyone in the building or potential threat. And we pretend it's not there until something happened and they say, oh, well, what could have been done?
What I'm hearing,
A lot of
there's a
kids
lot
are.
of these out of district schools too are starting to say, nope. They won't accept the students either. If they're an eloper, if they're hands-on, they won't accept them. So it's even getting harder to place some of these. And I'm saying the students who have trouble. You know, there's not anything that, you know, they need that extra and they're saying no to.
And obviously those students as well, but even I would call it a level below that where they're just like incredibly disruptive because now an entire classroom can't do their work because one or two
Damaging
students
property.
is freaking out, yeah, or damaging personal property. We have to have a way to support the kids who need the extra help, but also every other student.
And I go back to the example of when a kid starts throwing chairs, we clear the room and they throw chairs until they run out of chairs or get too tired to throw more chairs. Like there has to be something in between that and, you know, the alternative. I mean, and again, that's a serious issue. But we gotta sit here and pretend it's not. Or make excuses or spend millions and millions of dollars to deal with this issue. So, yeah. Joe.
I think that's where the farmers come in. Everybody talked about parental rights, and yes, everybody has their parental rights, but you know, we have parents out there that will say, no, you can't have to listen to that people.
Doesn't mean they're always right.
I mean,
Yeah, we need the support of the parents in town. Because honestly, the most of the things that we were just talking about would be better handled and supported by the families.
I think 97% of the parents would sit down and hear that.
Yeah. If the ones-
It's the 3% are a problem.
I mean, if you started throwing chairs when I was a kid, you'd get a bear hug and you'd be, you know, escorted out there like this. And then later on,
Not to mention,
that's when dad came
I was
home.
gonna say, not to mention when your parents found out.
Right. I was telling Terry the other day, I get dragged down plenty of hallways in high school. And that was just how they did things. Anything else with that or? I mean, that's a decent enough conversation, I think.
We'll talk on the agenda.
Yeah.
Mayor.
We could always go to the unfunded mandates, but that's not gonna get us anywhere. It doesn't hurt to complain about it.
I've looked at that. It's not. It's more sped and transportation. I've got a whole list and I'm like,
That's bed and transportation is a huge
I can,
chunk of our
I'll
budget.
throw that in, I'll throw that in the Friday memo. I've got a list.
And it's gotta total a lot of money.
Right now, it says it stands, unfunded mandates by the state, Rockingham County. It's over $3,000 per student that we're under mandated or underfunded. Now, whether the Supreme Court adheres to that or says yes to it. But
Just say, does that require New Hampshire to actually follow it this time, or they can just,
Yeah.
we'll see.
I don't know what the Supreme Court's gonna do, but I just know the current situation is the Rockingham judge that was asked by the Supreme Court to hear the case, set the amount, and the unfunded mandate is about over 3,000. And it's really more than that, but that's what the court came up with. The Conville was saying it's over $10,000. But anyways.
All right, good with that one? Anyone else? Pat, you got anything to add in?
I think I'm about to leave.
Okay,
Have a good day.
Good night.
enjoy the rest of your evening.
We're just getting in ready to call for resolutions. You sure you don't want to hang? for that one?
Governance plan.
Come on, buddy.
Have a good day.
Good night.
All right,
All right, as per policy EHAB, any necessary updates to the data governance plan will be made and presented to the board by June 30th each year. Our Director of Technology is recommending no changes be made at this time. Their link is the data governance plans right there for your review and approval.
We need to take approval.
Oh, it just says informational.
Can
This one you got to approve.
I make a motion?
yes, you may.
I'll make the motion to we amend the agenda to make data governance plan action.
Ooh,
Second.
That's what I'm saying. It's like,
Second by
that's what I
Joe.
meant.
Discussion? All in favor? All
Uh,
right,
I'll make a motion that we approve the district data governance plan as presented.
second by Steve. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. It is everybody's favorite time of the year. New Hampshire School Board Association call for resolutions. Do we want to go through all these, or does anybody have any that they want to support or don't want to support that we can just skip over?
I think this is just if we have any resolutions we would like to present. Is that right?
So Joe?
Yes.
All right, so they haven't put out theirs yet.
They do it, they do have,
What's this one? We got some here.
there is the continued resolutions that you could look at, but we usually do that.
Yeah, but if they're continued, we've already looked at them, right?
Next.
Yeah, we ever,
It's the free launch and, we know what they are. They're the same, yeah. I mean, we can look at some. but-
The only one I think I should talk to on the continued ones, and I can talk to that when we bring it up in September-ish.
Okay.
Is the full board, regular school board meetings not needing a quorum.
No,
For some odd reason, they keep passing that. Why? I think it's the dumbest move they could possibly make. It's never gonna pass.
say it again.
Well, we had our resolution that we could have subcommittees, not have.
Okay.
a full quorum present. You mean present?
Present,
Oh, you're talking that the rest are remote, not just two people having a meeting.
correct.
Okay.
They kind of rejected our idea and hook up school board meetings themselves should not need a quorum present. And that is one of the continued resolutions, I believe.
Well, and again, present in the room, not present at all.
No, they're saying, for the example, we have 4 tonight.
Yeah.
If we only had 2 people here and two of us, Tony and I are at home trying to do it remote, we can't do that.
Yeah, that's
We
what
have to
I'm
have
saying.
a quorum here, physically present.
I mean,
And they keep trying to pass not having it be.
Yeah, so you could have 3 people at home and 2 people here, or a room full of people and nobody here.
nobody here. That's exactly, that was their example, was we
Yeah,
could have a
which-
TV screen and somebody there, and I went, what?
Yeah.
If people hate you that much, you might want to rethink what you're doing.
Okay.
I mean, there's been times, yeah, but you can't do that.
Right.
It's crazy.
I keep losing, so they're probably sick and tired of me talking about it, but I think it's just a
Something to
dumb
be said for
resolution.
persistence.
Yeah, I think it's a dumb resolution right now. It'll never pass. I think
Spend time on things that we're gonna,
I think when we talk, hey, that's another one, when we talk to our representatives, would they support something like that? Because I know last year, we have a completely changed board now, but 2 of them would have supported it.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's like, they talked about how, well, I can't get childcare, so I can't get this. Well, maybe it shouldn't be in this position.
Maybe don't be
if
on the
they can't
board.
Be here.
Yeah. Again, it's as an extenuating circumstance occasionally. I don't think it's a problem, but you shouldn't make it a rule that you never have to have people in the room.
Yeah, that's a dangerous game to play.
But it doesn't mean you can't have remote participants. It just means you can't have the remote person make the quorum.
We have to have a quorum here.
You have to have a-
So if you 3 were here and I was remote,
That's
that's fine.
Yeah,
You can have 2.
More of a hassle than anything else. but
Yeah, but I mean, okay. Yeah,
I know.
that'd be silly to go below that.
Right. Cause then it turned into everybody's at home doing remote and like,
Watching TV, on mute. Steve, what? Jesus Christ, the commercial's almost here. Yeah, that's crazy.
So I don't know if anybody else has resolutions to go with. I had one, I have a couple. So he said there's a theme to my madness today. First one is all schools receiving state and or federal funds are required to follow all state and federal testing, hiring, and special education inclusion laws.
that's a problem. I support that. You know. If there's, not equality there, I mean, if people are getting money to, just for nothing, that's,
I think we
Can't have
already
that.
talked about it though, right? Because some people are getting state funds for certain types of schools that aren't having to follow the same
Mm,
testing guidelines.
well, yeah, so if we're talking charter schools, right?
Well, charter schools should be doing should be.
Well, even like Pinkerton, they have their own board. They're not technically a public school, right? So that's,
Correct. Now,
they can kind of do what they want.
But does Pinkerton get state money?
Yeah, every town that goes there, it's all state money.
Yeah, so that they should have to follow
They
everything.
follow most of them.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying they don't, but I'm saying,
Cole Brown, I was at Cole Brown, well, I wasn't at, but I was sending kids to Cole Brown. And then once they started accepting more federal money, they had to get in line.
yeah, that makes sense.
And then one of the other ones is New Hampshire will be required to give at least $60 million annually to its, for building aid.
60 million
60 million. It was at 50.
it was. Yeah.
You need a escalator in that too, certain percentage increase over time.
Right, so I mean,
60 million in 10 years isn't gonna cut it.
how many schools are they gonna help with that? Like, how much do they give out? Half?
Half, so about two, say.
Yeah, so that's-
Maybe three. What schools are asking for, I guess?
I don't understand that part. We are asking for 60.
So that's what they're saying is that it'll only take care of 3 schools a year roughly. Ballpark.
It could be one.
Yeah. Right,
It's
Nashville.
Nashua, yeah.
You're building $120 million school and you're gonna get 50%, yeah.
Maybe,
I'm starting small here, Pete.
Maybe-
Get an appreciation.
maybe a caveat on there that 60 million, but it can't all go to one school.
Well, why wouldn't that then be on a scale then, like everything else?
Well, just to your point, I know you guys were kind of goofing around, but what if a school comes up and says, I have a $60 million, we have $60 million for the state. And I have a $60 million school and I happen to be first in line, they're gonna get all the money?
No, they would get half or whatever.
So me,
That
whatever,
wipes out half of it.
yeah,
There are schools that are in this state that are worth, I would assume, more than 60 million. Nashua and North Nashua.
Salem High School did some major renovations and they just did some, like, they've been
That
going
elementary
crazy.
school, 40.
I mean, their elementary school in the last few years, that were like 50 million, 40 million, something, 50.
I'm gonna be at Salem High
60.
School on Sunday.
So
and
anyways,
It's beautiful.
I just think on that, I think it just needs to be, and I don't know if the law allows it, but some sort of increase each biennium. And I don't know what that is, whether it's on an amount or a percent, because as we know, building costs don't always go up at the same rate as inflation.
I can let Jen wordsmith that one.
It
Sorry, Jen.
will come back to us anyways, right?
Yeah.
After it gets worded out.
Um, This is one I had, but I don't know if it's even applicable. All high schools receiving state funds will make and post to the New Hampshire Department of Education all required food testing. So people can see us.
I don't understand what you're asking for.
Well, because I could go on and look what Raymond's test ethic, granted they're 2 years behind usually, at least.
Yeah.
More. But I can't see what any other of these schools that are taking state funds that. What, people always sit there and say, this school does so much better than Raymond.
Yep.
How do I know?
So, cause I had an interesting thought too about how do we have a review process, which I know we don't, to go to basically make sure that the students that were placed out of district are actually learning something, or those schools are earning their money and not just taking money from us,
Mhm.
taking the kid all day and sending them back, and who the hell knows what they're doing?
Well, I mean,
Like, is there anything in place that says we're gonna continue to send this kid here because they're doing their job? Or do we just keep sending the kid in a bus full of cash and hope they're doing the best?
well, it's the same with, I mean, even homeschooling, there's no.
Well, that's homeschooling. We're not paying for that.
Well, no, state is,
Oh.
people pay home, at any level of income, they'll give you
As opposed to,
$5,900 now, I think.
I mean, that's fine. I would assume do that than have to deal with out of district placements. Cause it costs more than that to just drive them to school for one day.
And
So,
Done.
yeah, I'm just not sure what you're asking, Joe. Are you saying that, for example, you can look up Raymond test scores?
yes,
They might be old,
not our fault, but yeah, they might be old.
but you can't look up new markets, which is a public and
So I could look up new markets.
okay. So
You're
I can't-
charter-
And to look up.
But anybody who takes,
Public charter school.
for example, private school XYZ in New Hampshire, you can't see their test scores for probably because they're not taking them.
Well, that,
That's the first hurdle you have to have is that
that kind of, you know, that was number one. This,
Yeah.
I mean, all the kids here, not that I'm saying it's a very hard test, have to take the naturalized citizenship test. I'm guessing that private schools don't have to do that.
I don't know.
I mean,
But is it graduation requirement, or are can they pick and choose which ones they want to do? Like,
No,
there's
they have
a minimum requirement list, right?
They have to take that.
We do. What I think what Tone's asking is,
Oh,
does Great Bay Charter School?
Can they just take kids and say, hey, you graduated, you're check you graduated.
I
I
would,
would hope the charter school, they're
I
public.
think they have to because they're a public school,
Right.
right?
I
It's
would
the
think.
private XYZ school. I'm not going to start naming schools because it's private. We don't know what they do.
But if they're
Or I
not,
don't anyways.
but if they're not taking state money, then I don't care what they
Right.
do.
I don't care what they do, they're
Yeah,
not taking state money.
I think what he's saying though is they take state money.
For me, I would tackle the first few that you've got and this last one. First, we have to ensure that they are doing it, and then worry about whether they're up or not.
Because, the charter school things everybody's all crazy about the charter schools and school choice and all this stuff, so I mean, it's worthwhile.
Reach out and ask them at Great Bay.
I do know what you're saying. It would be nice to be able to have solid data to compare. I mean, based on everything we saw from Amy, at least at the elementary school level, our elementary school is outperforming everyone else in the state.
No,
Not everybody.
not.
All right, we're doing better than the average.
Mhm.
I was trying to make it sound better.
Well, no, it's just, we've got to be clear that that is only the I-ready population that are taking I-ready. And it's like 35,000 students they're talking about in reading. I don't know how many elementary school students are out there, but
But and seriously, against the data that we have, the students that we have in Raymond are performing better than the kids that they're being compared to across the state and national. So whatever that population is against New Hampshire, her graph showed it. Our school is performing above average.
again, it's only I-ready. The SAS data is what we're judged on, right?
Correct.
And
We're right at the average. We're not.
yeah,
Is
we're
it-
in the
Above or-
neighborhood.
But we're not,
It's not fair to say that there's enough people using iReady to get a decent cross-section of
Think it's-
what's going on, and it's not limited to just small districts where,
It's 40,000. I think she said it was 40,000.
35,000, but again,
35,000 in reading and 45 in math.
yeah, and it's a good number.
yeah.
It's a good number.
would agree with that. And I'll take it.
I guess I only brought it up because it would be nice to have something to corroborate.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
We have clear as to what we're marching towards with those resolutions.
You'll give them to me and I think Jen wrote them down too.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll take them out.
yeah, well,
Yeah, no, it just, they've got to be,
yeah.
usually Jen does our matchup
Yep. If she's got
and
questions,
does some, right, research and
I'll let her get in touch.
As for questions that we're gonna ask our representatives, topics at least, should we be giving those to the representatives before they?
I wouldn't think so, because it's not gonna be useful.
Yeah,
I just want to
they're
double
ready
check.
for that, yeah.
At least then they can try to
You
have.
might
an
actually,
answer,
yeah.
and not come here and say, oh, I don't know that.
Yeah, if they say they're
Well,
coming.
let me get back to you.
Give them the information. If they say they're coming, then, yeah. Because as we know, we don't always, in the past, the reps don't always show.
Mhm.
Or, even reply back.
Similar hiring practices. All right.
So a couple of you requested to have this on there. It was brought up last year, that some districts authorize the superintendent to hire for the summer. And then the board typically would have to approve the nominations after the fact. So basically you're saying I can hire, knowing that you're going to approve the nominations when we have a meeting. That's how it would work.
So they would just basically get a contract before we,
Yep. But you basically are saying, yes, but we are going to approve them. I'm just saying that's how it kind of works.
yeah, in my 5 years, I remember not accepting a nomination. But I do remember having to come here for a 5-minute meeting. And we're not expecting it to be a ton of people, right? I mean,
No.
we're doing pretty good as far as staffing, right?
Yep, we are.
We just hired a bunch of people, so
I think we got,
I'll be looking out for contracts tomorrow.
I'm taking a personal day tomorrow, so probably Friday.
Okay,
Okay.
I just don't want to miss them.
You want to have him sign that other document? Sorry, going back in time.
I'm hanging out.
All right. Mhm. Sorry.
John,
John,
yeah, my position's not gonna change. Statutorial is not. Harry has no authority to do it. We have the only authority to approve the nomination.
we would be approving the nomination.
No, the contract's already been sent out. It's done. We have no say in the matter. We can all say, I'm gonna vote no if it happens every time. I'll be honest, because I want to have the ability, because I have in the past voted no on a nomination.
Remember?
And you're taking that ability away by doing it.
Just for the summer? Is that what that's what we're talking about though, right? Just a couple months.
And how many
It's
meetings,
just a month even.
how many meetings do we have scheduled to summer?
Got one the second week in August. So basically it's the month of July, basically. I mean, there's a meeting in July, but you got this 2 to 3 week period here before.
Yeah. And I don't have a problem with the summer.
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to let Terry hire individuals. Between,
Tomorrow, and I'd say, what's the first meeting in August?
You doing? Okay.
June 19th to. Oh, we have one in July too, so we could probably do nominations then.
Well, the first one in August is the 6th.
No, we'd be made aware of these hirings
Oh, yeah.
before, right? Like if,
Put them in a Friday memo. There you go.
what I'm saying, like, so if there would be an opportunity to object if we had an objection before, bringing that to your attention before they actually sign a contract or no?
No,
No,
Not at all.
no, not as an, because it's a board action. Can't have your voice heard and anybody do anything about it.
Into that.
No, but I was just thinking that if, at least we, could see
you will, I
like
mean,
typically we get the resume or whatever and
you've still
it
been
says
on
this is the
stuff.
nomination.
Yeah.
And then if there was an issue before then, we could say, hey, but. And then at least maybe put the contract sign on the hold if there was an issue. I'm not saying to do anything about it, but like if somebody raised a point or an issue, then that one would be like, hey, but again, I don't ever remember having an issue.
So I'll make a motion to let Terry hire individual teachers. Staff, I should say, staff between June 19th. And July. Let me say August. We have the meeting.
Yep.
August. Yeah, well, August 1st, we'll make it August 1st, they can wait a couple days. 2025.
Put that in there, so it doesn't end up opening.
Yes, yeah, just for the summer. Second up.
All right, second by Steve,
Question.
John.
Would that mean that, Terry, you would send out the contract to the nominee and then it would be signed and then the chair would sign it
Yeah, I would still
also?
have to sign.
If that's the, I'm not sure who Karen sends it to first. I don't know if.
Whichever the order, it doesn't
Yeah, that's
matter.
what would happen.
Both would sign it.
Yep.
Do you do,
Well, thank you.
do you do it electronically still?
Yeah.
Oh.
But then, hold on a second. That poses. Do I want to sign something that doesn't have the board approval? I didn't think
That's
about
the whole
that. I
idea.
didn't think about that angle of it of,
Yeah.
you know, signing the contract. Hmm.
Because that's the whole,
Right.
to get them off, to get them in the building, you get to sign the contract. Otherwise, they're waiting all that time. Or we just have special meetings.
Which then I guess I would need approval from the board to sign the contracts before the board approves the. I mean, if we want to make it even more complicated,
It's sort of a catch-22, because
Yeah.
if we don't meet to approve it from you, we have to approve you to sign it.
yeah, because I would have to sign it as soon as it's issued.
Yeah. So we're either meeting to have you bring it to us and approve your nomination, or meeting to have, approve you to,
I mean,
we just talked about not doing a remote meeting.
right, and I don't know about,
And, you know, and just trying to keep the process as streamlined as possible, is it? And I don't know if this falls under email quorums, whatever, can we all get a copy from you of the person's resume? And then if one of us has an issue, we can say, nope, we want to call for a meeting.
well, that's kind of what I was getting at, was,
Yeah.
can we at least not lock into a contract before, right, but,
Well,
No, that's sort of, sorry, go
I
ahead.
think you could, and then if someone has an issue, that's just it, then we'd have a meeting.
that's what I'm saying, like, if,
Yeah.
like, so it's not okay, we wouldn't have,
The
an
resumes and.
yeah, and then, again, I look
Three
at
of you
it,
said yes.
I say, no, this guy, problem,
I have a question. When you say that we're hiring you, the contract doesn't go out until after we have a meeting. correct?
right,
They would go Thursday or Friday, as it is right
Or
now.
what? I mean, we could still have it so Terry can send out the contract, they could sign it, but you'd have to wait till.
They're not going to resign their position. If they're a teacher that's, I mean, yes, they would
Yeah, you
not
could
resign
do
the
that,
position.
but-
If we wanted, that,
Essentially, it leaves us in a dead zone of, if you send the contract, you signed it,
I
we
don't-
tell them,
yeah.
the board chair can't sign it until
yeah, so they're not,
3 weeks from now.
Mhm.
They're not gonna resign their position or do anything else until that signature happens. So we have a 3-week gap in which they might go, well, I'm gonna go somewhere else where they're gonna sign it.
then we're back to a 5-minute meeting to approve it.
Too. Yike.
I'm cool with everything except the, essentially signing the document without board approval is where I get hung up.
Yeah, I get that.
That's a little bit more,
Yeah, that's
Mm.
sticky.
it's just not,
we only need a quorum. Just do a 5-minute
and
meeting.
again, it doesn't kill me to have to come up here to
Well, no,
couple
I
minutes.
think we're all just a few minutes away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Back to that.
5-minute
That's what works for me.
All right.
Good job.
Damn it. Sorry to complicate everything.
No.
I hadn't considered that, aspect of it. and
Like,
that's
this is how it's done, and if you got it,
kind of,
this is how it's done.
yeah, I don't know if I would be all right with that. Again, just signing something without board consent is just,
You ready next week?
So,
yeah, I mean, we could meet within a couple of days.
We don't have to we can do everything in non-public, so we don't have to have the 30
We
minutes.
could just come to your office and,
Yeah, we could do have a quick 3-minute, and again, you just need a quorum. I would hope everyone's there, but I'm gonna be honest with you, we're
as
gonna
long as you get 3.
3 of them there, and then we do it, and it's done.
So just as I guess the process thing here, we already,
You know,
well, we have an action on here, so do we just vote and no vote against it?
you know, we don't have to take action.
I don't have to take action.
Don't take action means you took action.
I just withdrew my
Right.
motion.
Okay, I'll withdraw my second.
No, sir. Do you second it? Yeah. You hear that?
Like Rush says, you can choose not to decide, but you still made a choice.
Okay.
All right.
It takes all the pressure off of me. Nobody's gonna yell at me. Ooh.
Yeah, no,
Oh, don't get that happy. Someone's gonna go like,
I'll be missing you by August anyway. What am I doing?
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
AI.
Artificial intelligence, acceptable usage guidelines, beginning discussion.
You may read that, Tony. You want to read it?
Can I start?
John was the one that wanted to put it up.
And I'm not gonna read the information, but what I will say is, as I brought up earlier, it's something I know little about, I'll be honest. But yet I also realize it's coming for us whether we like it or not. And I think, and I don't know how much it's used in the school right now. I don't know if it's encouraged for the staff or the students, but I think we need to have a conversation and figure out what we want to do so that it doesn't pass us by. Because I don't know if you heard, for example, Amazon announced that, oh, by the way, we're gonna have a decline in employees because AI. They're gonna hire some people, but it sounds like more people are gonna be let go because of AI.
Programmer's world now, yeah.
So this all ties back to, I think we need to have guardrails up in the school district. And I don't know if that means from what grade to the high school, at least the high school, I think needs to have something. I don't know if the middle school, and that's something, the conversation, elementary school, I don't know. But I also think it's important that there are, the things that Terry sent out, there are things out there that, teachers are able to write lesson plans, or they're able to do things that they take more time. They could do it themselves, but AI does it that much faster. And then I also think that for students, they need to know how to use it so that they realize, one, not always 100% accurate. And two, they're going to be asked to use it in college and in the workforce potentially. So I just would like us to come up, and I don't know how to get there, so that we can allow students and staff to have access to it and use it for the betterment as opposed to some of the negative things.
So I 1000% agree. I think I've said this to some of you. I don't know if I said it in an actual meeting. So Liberty Mutual is all in. It's not a surprise. On AI, we have, in fact, I was just given an assignment today to help the team that I'm working with learn how to use our automation programming, which is already kind of AI driven, with something called agentic AI, which is like a meta level AI. So it's AI telling AI what to do.
I'm out.
Yeah, it's
Peace out. Bring it back.
no,
Anyways.
you can have the structure is such that AI can talk to AI and do even more than you can do with AI because it knows how to talk to itself.
Yeah, so that's where I have a problem.
So there are scary scenarios involved. But the point is, at a professional level, it is being driven to drive how we do things. In fact, one of the programming classes is how to use, they call it vibe coding, which is a little messy, but basically you know how to code, but you go, hey, create me this piece of code. And you take the code, make sure it's right, paste it into the software and keep going. And so I think we sort of have to take a similar approach, but what we have is a structure of a responsible AI committee. They call it the RAIC, RAIC. And we have classes that we give that, again, I'm trying to teach one for the rest of the guys in my group, but also how to use those tools when it's appropriate and when it's not appropriate, but also how to use it as a tool and not as a replacement. Because automation, AI should never be used
Right.
completely to replace,
Because
but as an augment.
at some point, instead of learning the coding, you're learning the software to write the coding for you. And that's what we try to avoid, right? You don't want it to, now you're learning AI and not the actual thing that you set out to use it for.
Right. And then if you let the AI code, it will get good enough to code really good stuff, but we'll have no idea what the heck it's doing, but you won't be able to validate. But this is the time to teach them how to prompt, how to use it. I think we should try to put something in our curriculum around, and I honestly think I mean, my fifth grader, who's great, I have ChatGPT on my tablet and she was making pictures of gymnasts. Just because that's her thing. She's a gymnast. But she's in fifth grade, no problems getting on and using ChatGPT. I think we need to start pretty young.
Most of the policies basically said everything you said. You
That's everything.
use it, you set guidelines, you let them know that it's not 100%. It can be used for certain things. You still have to write an essay. The idea is that you write the essay. You can use ChatGPT or AI, but you need to quote it. You need to just like, it's a source.
Right.
Every one of these policies basically says all of that. And John's right. You can use it for grading. You can use it for lesson plans. So it frees the teacher up. Instead of taking all that stuff at home, they're able to get more stuff done here and in a shorter period of time. And that creates more of a happy life, happy teacher. So again, I think, I'm not gonna lie. I went to AI to create up with a plan, how to roll this out. And it's rather lengthy and extensive. I'm like, we could cut this back because a lot of the work's been done. Bedford's done the work. So I'm not,
State of Missouri did.
Prospect Mountain's got,
Yes,
plenty
just-
of policies in here. I
Yeah.
don't think we need to reinvent the wheel. We just got to say, policy to come committed, probably bring in a few teachers on that policy committee. This is what we're thinking so that we get their buy-in and we go.
So with the use of AI, can we count on planning time?
No, no, no,
But not shrinking.
Planning time.
Planning
Oh,
time.
no,
If you got 90 minutes and you're running it through AI,
no.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, or Joe is something.
Uh,
I mean, one of the biggest things I worry about with AI is that it takes sources from everywhere, even conspiracy theory sources. And they kind of lump things together and, hey, this is, it spits things out that I need history or true or anything like that. And now granted, AI will maybe figure that out one day that they don't need to take certain things in there. But even like, Fortnite had an AI where you could talk to Darth Vader. Well, AI wasn't exactly the most friendly Darth Vader in the world. I mean, you talk about Darth Vader, I'm evil, but he was saying, swears, racist comments to other people
Play Grand Theft
because
Auto.
it was all AI generated. It took feedback from everybody who was talking to him. And I went, and I'm like, oh, that's wonderful.
But that's why we need to make sure we put guidelines, because you can, again, it's that meta AI against AI. You can use AI to convert. So Terry's like, oh, we got this from AI. I need to edit it out. You could just go back into the same system and go, okay, this is too long, summarize this, change that. The key is making sure the sources that you take the time afterwards and go, oh, I mean, this is I'mACuckoo.com. I'm not taking any sources that came from I'mACuckoo.com, right? That's where that's where the human intelligence needs to be brought into it. And what we need to teach kids to do is, hey, if you get 12 sources, don't just copy and paste it and say, this is my paper. Go through it, read it, make sure it makes sense, make sure the sources are real. And that's the responsible way to use AI. It can generate a 15-page paper in about 30 seconds. But is it a good paper? Does it make sense? Is it a factual paper? Who knows? You got to read through it.
And all these policies
Yeah.
talk about all of that. Students still need to proofread. Students still need to validate.
Yeah.
Students still need to, it is not to be trusted 100% because there are some, so that's part of, everything you're saying. Every one of these policies addresses all of that in here. Still, it's on the student to
You do it right.
do it right. And again, they can open up an encyclopedia and do the same thing that I did back in 10th grade and just start writing.
Yeah.
And you get caught for it,
Well, they have AI.
Change a few words and that,
But they have software that will detect if AI wrote something. You can do-
but again, that's not 100% either.
Oh, I mean,
It's close.
Well, yeah, because I think it was Missouri, one of the videos they put up was they imported the Constitution of the United States, the preamble. And I think it was like 95% of the AI thought it was AI written.
that's funny.
Yeah.
So whatever it was, but I guess
When I was-
what I wanted to get back to is, and I don't know how to get there. What do we need to do? Well, my immediate thought was we should have people that are, teachers and administrators and Matt or whoever that would be on this committee, I would think. I don't know what you have visions of, Terry, if we were to go forward.
I think that that's how we do it. And then we make a presentation to the board and maybe then, policy committee, sits in on a couple of them so that we have an idea and then that's how we develop it. But I agree that it needs to be, Pete, be honest with you, I think it's fourth grade and up because, elementary, not so much, but
That's
yeah,
what,
fourth grade and up, granted, there's going to be as with anything, it's different here than it is
Right.
there.
Yep.
The expectations of usage here and there are different, but it needs to be an overarching and you can say at these grades, this is what the expectation are. This is the expectations, what the grades are from, 8 to 12 and we get teachers involved, administrators involved, Matt's involved, and we develop something. And again, the work has been done. It's just how we want to make sure we implement it and we use it appropriately and we style it so that it works in Raymond. Because quite honestly, we do a nice job with our technology. We are fairly, I'd say we're right there. There's not too many schools, with the boards and with the Chromebooks and the programs. We do well. So now we just got to put some guardrails up and make sure we're doing it right.
So, and I haven't looked at them, so I don't know, but is it all guardrail protection in the stuff you're talking about, or is there some proactive education involved with?
Oh, there's, go to workshops. I mean, all that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, they.
For the student,
You
not
have
for the
to-
teachers, the
You
student.
have to send the teachers to workshops and all that stuff.
But what about for the education for the students on how to use AI?
Well, the teachers would go to the workshop so that they could teach the students on how to use it.
That's my thing is I'm more about responsible, like, feel like a gun, right? If they're responsible in its use. Because we all know the bad things that AI,
Yeah.
we've all seen the
You
fake
know the bad things on the internet.
conferences and all that stuff,
Goodness.
right? So,
The new video creation by Google is ridiculous.
yeah, it's like, people think it's real.
I guess what I would add on top of all of that is I would like us to have, Jesus, I don't even know how or where we would put it in, right? But I would love to see us have an AI class where we legitimately are teaching the kids, here's how you use whichever platform you want. Here's how you prompt. Here's how you make sure what you're getting. Because it's good for the teachers to know. But the teachers tell us to check 10, 15, 20 papers. If we teach the kids how to be responsible with it from the jump, then yeah, we're going to have bad actors. There will always be people who try to get away with stuff, but most of them will be really good about it. Like, oh, that's the way you use this. And if we don't teach them that, they're going to just copy and paste. Oh, I forgot to write how many papers did I forgot to write that I had to do at 2:00 in the morning? And if I had that, it'd be like, I'm all done.
You could do it at 6 in the morning.
Right. So if we teach them how to do it, if we have that proactive class for the kids, I think they'd love it. And it would engage them in doing things the right way. I have no information plans or even good ideas for you about how we do that. But it would be good for us if we could try to put it in.
yeah, my thought was, okay, at the high school, 330 kids ballpark, how do you get everybody at the same time to know it? Oh,
Yeah.
that's, my thought was, okay, you have everybody has to take English. So that's, to me, would be where you would start talking about it because they do it now. They talk about using the internet and how do you source it and everything else. I don't know, but that was my immediate thought was how do you do it so that it's exposed to everybody at the same time. So everybody's able to use it. But again, there might be reasons not to do that. I just thought of it. And I guess what do we need to do if we want to go forward? What do we want to do? Is it in your ball court at this
I would
point?
say, this fall, we're gonna have to get a team together and not beat a dead horse, but yeah, let's go. This isn't rocket science. Start pulling what other schools have done and develop a team and a policy. Can we put a class in or how do we introduce it in, certain classes? Because, AI can be used in chemistry. AI can be used in
Use any.
physics. So those sites, if we pigeon ourselves to a hole, does Tom need to talk about how AI is in physics now? Do we need to talk about it in social studies, how, history and research? I mean, so it needs to be introduced at all, and, eventually we can get to a class, but right now we got to get the guardrails up first. Then we can start to expand. Because
And that's one of the-
we can't go like this and come back. We got to go here and then go like this.
Yeah, and one of the things they saw in the Missouri, and I don't remember which piece of information it was, I think they said like 53% of the students, a study that was done, use it to study for their exam.
Yeah.
Now, how they're doing that, I have no idea, right? Because I just don't know. But that's a good use of AI because they're studying for it. They're not using it on the test. They're just using it to assist in their preparation, which is great. I don't know how they're doing that, but that's neither here nor there. But I just think it's, as soon as we can get it going, we,
Yep. And I mean, fall's gonna be the earliest because
I understand.
they're all gone.
Yep, no,
Yep.
I was gonna say is there any way we can start that committee? Because here's the deal. We're already too late.
Yes,
By a long shot, we are already too late. The longer we wait, the more advanced these models become, the harder they are to control. And I'm not trying to be like a crazy conspiracy guy, right? But I have spent a lot, I legitimately spend at least some time every day with, I have just 3 different AI models that I pay for because I'm testing them for different things, whether it's image generation, video, text, planning, writing. I wrote a story a while ago. I had it edit the chapters for me and give me ideas on where I could, we're way already behind the curve. So the faster we can start our plan, I think the better. I would love to see us have something in place for fall. I don't even know if that's possible.
I don't, Steve, I'm being honest with you.
in, as of June 18th, I don't think
Yeah,
that,
and I'm-
because of the way our business is run, business, our
Yeah.
district or any district. The many of the people we need aren't available.
I gotta pay them and there's no technically money, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting year.
Well, having this discussion already, and after what, what's his face there from New Hampshire School Board Associations, I think we're actually a little bit further along than some of the schools.
Will Phillips.
Will Phillips even have this conversation? Because he says a lot of schools haven't even policies and all that. So we're probably with everyone else. We're moving now. And typically we're a year or two behind. That's how it works.
We can always take other, I mean, we have an example here with one of us policies that are already in existence. We can always take some of those policies until we get our own. That way we know, put them up before September. You just have something,
Why don't you have AI write the policy?
yeah, I mean, it's amazing because 15, 20 years ago, they had a computer generated Christopher Reeves walking across stage and everybody was like amazed thinking that it was actually Christopher Reeves walking across the stage. But now AI creates an actual person and
Like the Tupac hologram. Everybody remembers Tupac playing Coachella.
yeah, I mean, it's
One thing I'm thinking about having the conversation. Can we at least form the committee over the summer? So that when the school year starts, we don't have to go through that and reaching out to people.
Yeah.
Can we have, and I don't know, if you're saying from 4th grade up, that means we need people involved at the middle and high school, maybe different committees because it's different levels.
Or yeah, different areas to explore.
Well, that and what do we want middle school students doing versus high school students? Because age appropriateness, what we talked about, and what we think we're comfortable with. So if we can maybe
we can
have Tom and Pete start getting a list of individuals they think would be helpful. Obviously, I think, and I don't know, maybe I would think Matt would be beneficial to have for both committees. And I don't know anybody, whoever else would it be, but just so that we can
Yeah, we can have that.
moving.
That's easy.
And I'll ask the question, does it make sense to have a high school student on the high school side or not? Because I think sometimes they might know more than the people in the room.
I kind of think it would make sense.
I don't know, because some of the conversations might not be.
Let's start this way, and then we'll start to bring them
I got
in.
a student sits here all night. I
You
mean,
can add them. Well, it's not like they're not listening.
I know.
I know they're not listening, but they could
Oh, I'm sure that.
listen right now.
Oh, look, I just got a message. Me. I think eventually you'd want to bring them in, but I think, again, I got to get the guardrails up first, and then once we get the guardrails.
I'm like I'm saying, I certainly not knowledgeable enough to know. I know what I don't know. That's a lot. All right. You all said, Terry?
Yes, sir.
All right. I just wanted to, thank you.
So we're good on the AI.
As we can be.
All right, committee reports. Anyone?
We had a walkthrough of LRES with the CIP committee last week.
Yeah, we,
That was,
covered that.
Oh, was that? Oh, I forgot what was the meeting last week. All right, never mind. No.
no, that's kind of what screwed me tonight. I'm like, we have meetings.
guys, tone, oh.
No, nothing. That was it.
Well, I heard from a couple of people that were on that walk that it was a real eye-opening experience. Like people were not aware of like actual conditions. They were surprised.
In a bad way?
Well, they just,
Condition or?
yeah, just not, yeah, like they,
It needs work.
yes, they're not denying the fact that
Time
it needs work.
to go.
Yeah.
It needs work.
It's a series of dominoes waiting to fall.
How many Band-Aids can you put on a wound? No committee reports, nothing. Superintendent,
The school year's wrapped up, and as I said to the administrative team, Tuesday?
Yesterday.
Tuesday, while we did have some bumps in the roads and we had our challenges, I think we had more successes than challenges this year. We are continuing to grow as a district, continue to make strides. It sounds weird, but it's encouraging now when I have other school leaders come up to me and start asking me how we're doing things in Raymond, why we're having success, what are we doing? So that's means, we're turning that page. We still have a lot of work to do. We can't rest on our laurels, but I want to thank the school board. I thank the administration. I want to thank the teachers, and I want to thank the families who, without all of them, it's not a success. And I hope for more success. I know we'll have some challenges. I know we'll have some bumps. That's also part of growing and being, growing up. So thank you.
it's all a relatively new team. I mean, every administrator is,
I'm the second or third most tenured administrator. Of course, I'm getting up there now. This is 3, I'm going into year 4, so that's something to say too.
I think we should thank you too.
Well,
All the list of people you thanks. I want to thank you guys too.
I'm just a guy, as I said, they're doing the work. I'm just a guy behind yelling and screaming.
But you yell the right stuff.
I know, and smiling and
A
laughing.
lot.
we're just the guy. We just got yelling at you.
Last week I've been barking a lot. I will not deny this last week.
But no, it definitely takes everybody to be on the same page, and I think we're starting to get there.
Yep, I agree.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
All right,
Thanks, sir.
thank you. Correspondence or other?
I have something.
Is it correspondence or other?
It's other.
Okay. Joe hasn't.
Wayne reached out to me. I met him at the New Hampshire School Board Association a couple of years back.
Wayne,
I forget what his last name.
okay.
Um,
Yeah, from the Hooksett School District.
Okay, thank you.
You said from Maine, I was gonna go
Did I
next.
say from Maine? Sorry.
Wayne from Maine.
It's Wayne.
Oh, I got you.
And there you go.
Wayne from the Hooksett School District reached out to me several weeks ago. Their school district, I guess, really doesn't have a CIP plan per se, which I'm kind of surprised. But they were asking about, impact fees and how we gonna collect them again. So I'm gonna say, well, that's the topic that we're having right now as well. So one of the things, they took our CIP platform and kind of looked at it and they're trying to emulate it.
Spreadsheet.
Yeah, the spreadsheet and stuff, and they're gonna try to emulate that. I don't know if they're gonna do 10 or 20 years like we do, but they're gonna definitely try to emulate that, and so it's good to collab with another school district.
Good.
That's cool that they looked at what we did.
I saw on the news that I forget what district it was, but they were all happy that they were getting breed protectors, and I just laughed and said, might as well throw that money in the toilet.
It doesn't, we don't catch many of them.
Talk about wasted. All right,
So that's one of those things you don't know until you try it.
yeah, but
Lesson learned.
one other district, say, how your breed detectors working? Like, we don't turn them on anymore. I'm not saying we don't, but at some point they just, why? Manifests.
Accounts payable tonight, $1,335,397.59. Payroll, $1,532,290.48 for a grand total of $2,867,688. And they're all signed. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
I have a question. is there a payment plan, like for the teachers, that they would get checked every 2 weeks or whatever, for all year long, or can they get it for the time they work here, or is that a?
So that's why I joked before you got here today and I said, here you go. And he looked at me and it was $3 million because the balloon payments right
Mhm.
there. So they basically get, the teachers have the option of getting 22 pays. So the first paycheck when they return, they get it, it's divided by 22 pays, or they get a 26 pay. So they got their lump sum payment, which is their balloon payment, which was 4 checks yesterday.
I think the 22.
This is the 26. Yeah. So they got 22 payments throughout the year, and then they got 4 paychecks. A balloon payment is what we call it yesterday.
Or they get 26, basically every 2 weeks.
Right, so
Right.
they would,
Right.
you would still be
But we-
issuing
but we
checks throughout
pay
the
them
summer.
Now, and it's up to them to
Budget.
budget.
So we pay them for the 4 paychecks total in one lump sum,
If they choose the 22.
Yeah.
26.
26.
So either way,
22 equal larger payments with no.
Okay.
Yeah.
oh, so they get them dispersed 22 throughout the year and then no payments over the summer.
If that choose that
Correct.
plan.
Yeah, or they get 26.
Oh, the
They
20
start at
okay.
the same time, but they get the balloon
You just-
payment now.
Give them those summer checks in advance and say, hey, don't spend it all in one place.
Fiscal management.
Like my
When I
husband,
was a
I
teacher, I'd be like, yeah, it's
All
going.
right, like, yeah, summertime.
I have a heart attack because when I go to check my bank balance every once in a while, like he doesn't tell me when he's gonna get the money and all of a sudden I have like too much money in the account and I'm like, oh my gosh, like.
They
what
don't
is
have too
this?
much.
I know,
You know, it's tough.
I have not ever had that issue.
but you gotta budget it. You know what I mean?
I've never had a situation where I went, wow, that's too much.
I do straight to marketplace. I need another car.
I was like, Tony got a new car.
Ready for Trevor?
Yeah, no minutes, no nothing. Oh,
Yeah, motion to adjourn.
all right. Second by Steve, discussion? All
I
those
like
in
to-
favor? All right,
Aye.
aye.
Aye.